So, here is a prediction that Dahlia told me about. Oh, okay, we're starting.
おはようございます。Hello everyone.
Hello,
第
blurry lady.
68回ファイナルファンタジー14
You're a
プロ
little
デュー
out of
サーレター
focus.
ライブをお送りいたします。Thank you very much for tuning in to Final Fantasy 14 Letter from the Producer Live number 68. 皆さんに自己紹介お願いします。Please introduce yourself.
Okay,
please.
the volume is a lot louder than I thought it would be.
Producer and director
Hey, they couldn't get the translator lady a good webcam. They skimped out on her webcam. This is bullshit. Let me know if their voices are drowning mine out, by the way. Let me know if I need to turn down the live letter.
And if I sound
My name is
okay.
Toshio Murochi, also known as a Fox Clone. You are a global community
I'll
producer
turn you up a bit more again.
I will do MC stuff for today's live letter. はい。そして、本日はですね、本日の、プロデューサーも、日本語と英語のバイリンガル放送でお送りしますので、我らがあゆみさんがスクエニアメリカオフィスから入ってくださっております。So once again, today's letter live is fully bilingual
Yeah, the
in
background
both
is a
Japanese and
green
English.
screen.
So we have a special member from Square Enix America.
Jeez,
あゆみさんです。おはようございます。
We cannot comprehend her.
竹あゆみです。通訳を務めさせていただきます。よろしくお願いします。
She's
Hello
got
everyone.
motion
This is
blur
Amy
on and
from
she
the
is
Square Enix
always
Los Angeles
in
office.
motion.
I'm going to be supporting for the translations today.
はい。で本日の、PLL はですね、このセットアップをご覧になった方もいるかと思いますが、吉田さんが話したことは、あゆみさんが通訳してくださいます。
So let me tell you a prediction that I heard. I heard a prediction that when Emmett mentioned the whole treasure cities sunken below the bounty, I heard a prediction that that will be our next deep dungeon, which would be cool.
In Japanese, and then Ayumi-san will do Yoshida-san's voice in English, and I will translate myself.
Translator lady is here. She is here, but in another manner of speaking. She is beyond this plane. Give me Moon Deep Dungeon. That would be cool. Deep Dungeon into whatever the fuck the rabbits made in the moon. They just fucked the moon up. Let's go in there.
So today's letter live has two major parts, and then first half
alternatively, Deep Dungeon and Ultimate Duel.
By producer director Naoki Yoshida.
Maybe other dead civilizations buried deeper in.
And then we have a taking break, and then latter half is the Q&A session based on your gameplay.
Keep in mind that they were saying that this live letter would mainly be about the next 10 years of Final Fantasy 14. So I think the scope is going to be a bit broader than what we're talking about right now.
Also, the second half is a Q&A, just FYI.
The second half is a Q&A,
You might see me
okay.
turning my head sometimes when I'm speaking, but I'm actively looking at the comments that people are making as they watch the stream. So you may see me turned this way, but
how the fuck are they going to explain the next decade? I don't know. They got plans. They got plans. They're thinking. They're planning. They're plotting.
I think a lot of what they're going to be talking about is actually infrastructure changes, like new servers and stuff like that.
あゆみさん一生懸命ね通訳してくれてるんで、そこはね、それを言われると我々ちょっと悲しくなるんで、そういう。
We may not stay up for the Q&A depending on how like major the questions posed are.
And we
may just stay awake for the first half, but we'll see.
Translations kind of drag on the pace. It doesn't feel as quick, but I mean, it's here to try to facilitate communicating Yoshida's comments. It makes us sad if you're disappointed that it's in two languages, but perhaps if you look at it like a FanFest stage event where we have the Japanese and English, maybe that might help it make it more fun.
They already had enough anxiety with Q Savage. They don't need any more sadness.
Question: does Garlemald plan to invest in NFTs? Okay, actually, real answer there. Apparently, there was an interview the other day where Yoshi P answered that he's not interested in NFTs for Final Fantasy 14, but he wants to explore them for other games, which is kind of a disappointing answer. I hope he reconsiders. I hope he reconsiders. I hope he'll see how everything that NFTs touch dies, crumbles and dies.
Broadcast is not
He's a smart guy. He'll figure it out.
6.1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll
touch
figure
upon it, but then the
I'm pretty sure
details
that was
are going
just
to be
an
explained
answer where, like,
on another
I
episode
can't
of
directly
the
reject
live
this.
letter on March
What she just
4th.
said, well, they're
This
going to
is
touch on
JST,
6.1, but the
we will go
majority of
into
6.1 is going to be
details
another
of that,
live letter.
timing.
あとはまあ
Good,
な
very
んかこう重大発表的なねニュアンスで取られてるけど
Oh, apparently that question was answered during the sound test for this stream.
緊張せず気楽に今日は見ても
I'm
らえると嬉し
certain
いです
he'll see differently.
And some people might be bracing for a very important announcement when we talk about today's broadcast, but that's not the intent. We would love for you to just relax and just have fun with the broadcast.
Okay.
面白いですよ。
We're not gonna get anything groundbreaking here, so temper your expectations, Chad,
見
okay?
えるんだよなついにこう俺さでもいつだっけ
Look at the necklace
新情
Yoshi
報
is
発
wearing.
表会でさ、言ったばっかだよね
shit!
ライブワークだって
That's
言ってるんで
Horshabout's
そういう話じゃないんですよ
And I understand we were talking about like the
Harsha
future
added
of
to
Final Fantasy
trust.
XIV, but every time we mention something like that, people are like, "Oh no, is Yoshida going to quit?" And no, I think I told us when we were doing our announcement
Also, does
showcase
his
in
jacket
February, it's
say
like
cuts?
14 is my life
It does.
work. It's not like I'm going to just up and leave something.
Interesting.
もうそんなんで嘘つきってやるの嫌だから
I want
なんだ
that
ろう
14 hoodie that the translator lady is wearing.
重大発表をしますみたいなねことは言わないですよ
ちょっと恥ずかしいね。
It looks soft, but so does she.
Because
I
she's
want people to be
extremely
going around
blurry.
saying, "Oh, you're such a liar," because I mean,
They gave her
I'm not
the
the type
worst
of person who would
webcam.
make these kinds of like my personal announcements on a live stream. So.
さあでは、やっていきましょうか早速前半だいたいね2時間ぐらい、後半も多分2時間ぐらい使うんじゃないかなと思います。なのでご飯食べたりですね今日土曜日なんで飲める人はお酒飲みながらとかでも全然いいので
Also, I'm really
楽しくいきま
wondering
しょう
why those
So we're
two
looking
have
at,
actual
at least for the
microphones
first
and
part, we're
she's
looking at
just
about
using
2
her.
hours broadcast.
They dumped all the
so
budget into
just-
those two and they didn't give
you're
her
free to
shit.
do, like, you have dinner or like eat lunch as you're watching the broadcast. It is a Saturday, so if you want to start
It is a
thinking already,
Saturday, you said.
you're more than
Okay.
welcome to do so.
さあ行きましょうでは、画面切り替えてもらっていいかなはい
That is some gorgeous art. This is brand new art, isn't it? Oh, today's topics. There we go.
お話しする内容のトピック
Give me an
おさらいし
updated
ておきま
map?
しょう
Question mark?
Okay, so jumping right in, let me go over the topics we will cover.
All right, let's hear it.
で、まず一つ目はちょっと
Our
です
journey
ね
thus far.
まあ
Okay, a
14これまで、
retrospective.
正確にはね11年やってきているので、まあちょっと振り返りを最初にね皆さんへの感謝も込めて、やりたいと思います。
The first topic, of course, it's been about 11 years, to be accurate.
The glory of 1.0.
They're gonna announce
we'd like
Final
to
Fantasy
kind of do a little bit of
14
a
classic
retrospect,
servers.
just convey our thanks to all our
Nightmare.
players and look back on everything.
でまあそれを振り返った上でですね
The next 10 years of Final Fantasy 14. So this is what they advertised for
こ
sure.
の先10年さらに14を発展させていくために、まあ、新しい挑戦やっていきますよといろいろそこについて、まあ、どんなことやっていくのかというのをお知らせしたいと思います。
I'd like at least like a thorough explanation of what exactly happened in 1.0.
To the next 10 years.
That
because as I
information is
mentioned,
kinda
I would
hard
love
to find.
Continue having Final Fantasy 14 for yet another 10 years. So there are many different things that we want to do in order to continue expanding Final Fantasy 14, many challenges that we want to take on. So I want to touch upon some of those items in today's broadcast.
でここまで行ったら一回休憩を挟んで、放送の後
I
半
know
として
the No Clip documentary explained the shitstorm of how it went wrong. What I'm referring to is what the actual story of 1.0 was. Like what the actual MSG was about.
And then once we do that, we will have a break in between, and then it'll go into the latter half.
I know
of the
that it
show,
had some pretty
where
sick
we kind of
cutscenes.
asked the players, "What did you think after playing 6.0?" And so we will do a bit of an Endwalker Q&A.
So I wonder how much they're going to reveal about the next story arc, given that the last story arc lasted like
We're seeing
fucking
comments
11
like, 10
years.
more years, huh? Is Yoshida going to kick off his Living Dead?
I don't think they're going to give away that much.
吉田の量産を開始しましたとか、クローンの吉田が
I
誕生
just
したので
really
紹
do
介します
hope
とか
at
そうい
some
うのじゃ
point we
なく
end
て
up on the
考えてましたね
13th. That is
yeah, I think
critical to Eve
I've
lore.
seen comments similar to that, and like people saying, "Oh, we have mass manufactured Yoshida clones."
でなぜか私はもう完了してますよって書いてあるんですよ。
そう。
Yeah, then I say I've done already, so something like that.
では早速
Completely unrelated, Cat
まず
really
は
likes
ま
climbing
あ
to the
せっ
top
か
of
くに
her
はね11
scratching
年なんで
tree.
すけど大きくくくってまあ10年ここまで皆さんとね
Are you
やってき
attacking it
たの
right
を
now?
ちょっと振り返っていきたいと
Yes,
思い
and
ま
she
す
gives me anxiety whenever she does because
Okay,
she's
so
like,
jumping into
gets all the way to the top.
timeline here.
She'll be
Of
fine.
course,
She's a good cat.
Accurately, it's 11 years, but like we'll call this the 10 years of Final Fantasy 14.
Final Fantasy 11.
まあいろいろありましたね。まあ2010年サービスを開始してその
Oh
12
my god, they're
月に
acknowledging 1.0. Oh no.
全部開発も一新して僕はここから参加です
September
ね。
30th, when shit got
So
real.
first, 2010 was when it all started. Many things
First
that
Fan Fest was in
happened,
2014, wow.
caused us to sort of reconsider the development structures, and there was.
Oh, I remember this. This was like the concept art for 14. You can already see like the way that
So this is when
the UI
I joined
looks.
in. Yoshida joined into the
Oh,
project.
look at that really glowy HP and MP numbers on the party list.
2021年の10月14日に、まあ、14日が縁起がいいだろうっていうので申請
The
をやります
menu
よという
buttons
発
look
表
the
してま
same.
すね。
Oh, remember the TP gauge? Remember that when
And
that
then
was the thing?
2011, October
Yeah,
14th,
that
we were
was
thinking
wild.
14th must bring us good luck. And that's when we announced that we are going to have Final
November
Fantasy
11th, the
14
literal end of the
reborn.
world.
海外の皆さん
On
詳しいよね。
11/11
あゆみさんもインタビューにいてくれたと思うけど、9番を遊んでみたいので9番のサーバーを復活させる気ありませんかってクラシックファイナルファンタジー14やる気ありませんかってナイトメアって答えたやつみんな覚えてて、ナイトメアってすげえ言ってんねコメントで。
I love how the comments from the West are. I love how they know all these details, and I'm sure Amy had set into the interviews as well. But people were asking about, oh, are you going to make an FF14 1.0 classic like WoW Classic did theirs? And Yoshida answered, "Nightmare," and so people are calling the time of 1.0 Nightmare. It's awesome.
でまあ2012年の11
Say
月
the line,
11日にですね
Yoshi-P
時代の終焉トレーラー公開とともにですね一
Do it, you
旦
coward.
申請の
Do
準備
it.
のために Q14 のサービスを、終了させていただいてます。
And of course, in November 11th of
No, he's not
2012, we
acknowledging.
titled it The End of an Era, and we sort of closed the service for the original version of Final Fantasy XIV.
まあ、9番からねやってくださってる方も結構いるし9番の捉え方って結構まちまちだとは思うんですけど9番の、ラスト付近はそれはそれでまた独特の、ゲームデザインの MMO として結構ね好きだった面白くなったんだよって言ってくれる人たちもたくさんいて、まあ、僕らシャットダウンするのを決めながらも作ってたところに対してそういうね評価をもらってたりするのはとてもありがたいことなので僕らもす
Oh,
ごい
I'm
ね
so
実は
glad
励
this
み
is
に
way
な
more
ってました
chill. I did not have energy for some big
And of course,
announcements.
people who have been playing
A fucking
since the
brain-melting
original
trailer.
1.0 may have their different
I may
opinions
have wanted
about
that,
how
but
the
I'm
game
glad it
had
didn't
played.
happen.
But there were people who thankfully acknowledged how 14 was starting to shift, and they did take notice about how the game design was unique, despite we were looking to sunset the original version. And so it was wonderful that people acknowledged
Sunset?
that.
You
and-
mean
and that was
moonset.
very encouraging for us as a team.
Boo.
ちなみに9番から今日視聴してくださってる方でQ14 からやってるよって方、どうですか手を挙げてもらってもいいですか
So if I could have people in the comments, by show of hands, I don't know how you raise your hands, but like anybody who's been playing since 1.0, the original Final Fantasy
Nope.
14,
No.
we would love to see who's been with us since then.
おめっちゃいるな
Boy, there's a lot.
I did not own a gaming computer.
I
or
was in
gaming
high school when 1.0 died.
That's amazing. Thank you guys.
I couldn't pay for an MMO.
まあこっからねあと10年お互い結婚に
I've
気をつけ
been
て
here
楽しん
since
でいきましょう
4.3.
But yeah, we're
I-
looking
the
forward
first
to
time
the
I
next
caught
10
up to the
years. So yeah,
MSQ
let's
was
all
Tsukiyomi.
Take care of our health and keep going.
Yeah,
That's
Tsukiyomi.
awesome.
で、2013年ですね、
And the first
ベータ
time
テ
we
スト
ever
をやりながら、
role-played as
2013年
Alpha
8月27日に
and
つい
we're
に
left
新
off
生
on
王
that
座や
massive
正式サービス開始
cliffhanger with
すること
him.
ができました。
Yeah.
And I just like
So
almost
moving on,
threw my
2013, we start
laptop
our beta
against the
testing
wall.
for A Realm Reborn, and then August 27 of the
I
same
was ready to
year,
fight.
we were able to relaunch as A Realm Reborn.
振り返るとですね、2011年の3月ぐらいから一気に新生14の設計だ
As
け
Blue Alizé.
5人ぐらいで設計をスタートして
Blue
2011
Alizé
年
is
の6月
worst
から
Alizé.
6人のプログラマーがコードを書き始めたのを覚えてるので、実質そこから2年2ヶ月で申請リリースして
The
るので
red mage of
もう
my
ちょっ
heart
と驚異的
will always
今振り返ると
appreciate Alizé more
And
than
looking
Blue
back,
Alizé.
so that it was 2011 in March. We started at least doing the
It's
the
like Pokemon
framework,
Red
just
and
the
Blue. You just got
design
Alizé Red and
structure
Blue.
first. And it was a very small team that worked on it. It was 5 people who started on the base framework, and then starting June of that same year, 2011, we had 6 programmers starting to write code.
Oh no,
And
I like
considering it
Alphino
took
as a
about
Scion, but
2
he's just
years
not
and
my
2
favorite
months
Scion,
to
and probably never will
relaunch,
be.
that's just incredible.
He's still very good though.
で、念願だったですねファンフェスっていうのを2014年の10月からですね、スタートすることができました。今でも覚えてます。
And of course, by 2014,
Yes,
October,
continue the
we were able
PowerPoint.
to hold our very first fan festival. That was something that we really wanted to do.
初めてやった北米のファンフェスの基調公演で
They went
ステ
from
ージに上がった時
5 million
の
in
大歓声でですね、
2015?
もう
Or is that
足が震え
2016?
て
I
think that
still
might be
remember it
2016.
today. The first time we
5
did our
million
fan
in
festival,
2016
and
to
we started
10
out
million in
the North America region.
2017.
And when I took the stage
Wow,
to do
that's
my keynote presentation
crazy.
and just the
And then
14
cheer that I
million,
received
16
from the
million.
audience, man,
That's
my legs were
fucking
shaking when I was
crazy.
up there.
they've exceeded 20
で初の
million
拡張である
registered
ヘブンズワー
players.
ド、2015年の6月にリリースしてその後の8月に、全世界累計登録者数が500万人を突破したと。
And then next, we were able to launch our first ever expansion pack, Heaven's Word, in 2015 June. And then soon after, we reached 5 million registered players.
I really like how
で
previously
この辺りはですね
expansions
我
were
々開
released like
発
right
チーム
around
に
my
ですね
birthday.
高難易度高難易度って言われてよし
No
やっちゃうぞ
longer.
って言
Now
っ
the
て
schedule is
もうキッ
fucked.
キリなのをやったら
with
ですねいや
Shadowbreakers
難しすぎんだろう
launched
って
like
なって
days
ですね
before
我
my
々も
birthday.
い
Yeah.
ろいろな失敗を繰り返しつつですね今につながってる本当重要な時期だったと思います、ここは。
But this is around the time when people were starting to clamor for higher difficult content, and the dev team got so excited about, oh yeah, you want difficult? And so we gave you a really, really tough content, and people started complaining now about, oh no, this is too difficult, Yoshida, this is too difficult. And so we were trying to find that balance. It was trial and error trying to get to that nice balance. But I think it was really important that we're making that conversation.
あれでね僕は人生の格言の一つをね学んだんですよ。プレイヤーの皆さんにはいやーちょっと簡単だったなって言われるぐらいがちょうどいいんだなと。
And it was then that I learned this very valuable lesson, which is I think it's best to keep
26
the
million
difficulty where the
registered
players
losers.
would walk out of it saying,
That's
"Ah,
hilarious.
that was pretty easy."
で、グレノリベレーターを発売したのが2017年6月で、この辺りからようやくこうバトルコンテンツ以外の、そのもう14の世界に住むみたいなことをより具体化していけるようになったのがこのぐらいの時期で、それがね、功を奏してですね、登録者数がこの時点で1000万人突破と。
And then, of course, Stormblood released in 2017 June, and we started looking at various other types of content aside from battle and combat, content that would involve the feeling of living in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. And I think that really struck a chord with people. People were resonating with it, which thankfully got us to our registered player number up to 14 million players.
思い出されるグレンのリベレーター初日のねラウバーン透滅戦
すごかったですね。
That's
And
about
I
when
still
we
remember
became
when
one of those
Stormblood
14
first
million,
launched,
yeah.
Rauban Extreme.
Rauban Extreme.
ありましたね。
I think we all remember that.
Only matched by Q Extreme.
あの失敗があってね今の安定したキューイングシステムがあったりするからね。
But I mean, even with that failure, we learned from it, and we were able to build a much better queuing system.
そしてですね、2018年になると、
Yeah,
全世界登録者
no
数
more
が1000万
extreme
人を
cutscenes.
1400万人を突
Yeah,
破して
until the queuing
2019 年
system
には
broke.
1600万人を突破と。ありがとうございます。
Like what? 4 years
So
later?
I'm sorry, this is where we hit.
Well, at least
14 million
nobody
is
got, like,
2018
trapped
August.
forever
And
in
then,
that queue.
Moving on, we reached 16 million
Yeah, because they all
players
got kicked out.
by 2019 May. So thank you so much for all the players that are staying with us.
そうして続けてですね2019年に、漆黒のヴィランズを発売しその年末にはですね全世界累計登録者数が1800万人を、突破となりました。
And moving on, we released Shadowbringers in 2019, and soon after, we surpassed 18 million
I'm
registered
impressed that they
players.
condensed all of Final Fantasy XIV's
数字
history
に
into
関して
3
言うと
PowerPoint
単純に
slides.
数字だけを
That's
こう見ていく
succinct.
とそのなんていうの増えるペースっていうのがばらついてるようにまあ
I
見える
wonder
のかもしれないんですけど
these
実は
graphics, like this
体
timeline
験したこ
graphic.
とのある人が増えれば増えるほ
They've
ど
got strong PowerPoint
新規が
power.
当然減るんですよ
They
ね
did a good job.
パイが決まってるところから新しい人を呼ばなきゃいけないのでだからここまでの数字になってるのにさらに数百万増やしていくっていうこと自体はとてもすごいことでこれは本当ね、まあ、開発運営チームの努力もそうなんですけどマーケティング PR チームがコミュニティの皆さんと一緒になって達成してきてる数字なので本当にこれはね誇らしい数字だと思ってます。
Yoshi P's plan to turn everyone into a cat girl
Looking at
has
the numbers,
succeeded.
it might seem like there's no real, like, nothing of note. Oh yeah, the numbers are just increasing. But if you consider this,
And
if we
before
have
you
a
say
certain
you're a
number of
bunny
people
boy
already
is just
playing
the
the
gateway
game,
drug
and
to
if we
cat
have
girl.
a single pie
No, it's
that
not.
we're
It is.
taking numbers out of, like, you would expect the numbers to start
I don't
going
think
down.
I will
But
ever
it's-
turn from my button
it's
boy to a
interesting
cat
that we
girl.
see more and more players join
It
us
is more
even after
likely
all
I'll
these
become a cat
years.
boy.
We are seeing millions signing up. So of course, I really want to acknowledge
And I
the
respect
development
everyone who
team,
is currently a
operations team, but
LFL,
also the
aka
marketing
Potato.
and PR teams working with the community to kind of promote the title and get the word out. So it's I'm very
Yoshi P,
proud of
I
their
literally made this
achievements.
PowerPoint slide 12
そ
minutes
して
ago. Please enjoy.
2021年、去年ですね、12月2日にはですね全世界累計登録者数が2500万人を突破しちょっと昨日の数字とかは見てないですけどまだ全然まだ上がってってると思うのでで12月7日ですねすいません2週間ほどちょっと遅延をさせていただくことにはなってしまいましたが、行月のフィナーレを発売して、ハイデリンゾディアーク編完結というところまでこぎつけてこられたなと。
Dahlia, you hear that? That thing's getting fucking
For
slaughtered.
2021, which is last year, we surpassed
Dahlia, she
25
loves
million
that
registered
thing.
players.
It's
I
dying
did
at a
not
quick
see
pace.
yesterday's numbers or like as of yesterday's numbers, but I do understand that our numbers are still increasing. And then afterwards, I know we had to delay
can't even
the
see
release
her
by about 2
anymore.
weeks. Again,
She's, like, tucked
apologies
into the
for
corner.
the delay, but we were
The
able to
murder
release
corner.
Endwalker,
Oh,
and
nope, she
finally we
just
were
leaped to
able
the
to
top of her
conclude
scratch post.
the overarching
Never
story
mind.
of Heidelin and Zodiark.
まあ長かった
Cat
よう
is
で僕は
currently
結構あっという間の
committing major
11年
violence.
でした。でも本当に
He
ね、世
jumps
界
to
中
the
の
top
プレイ
of
ヤー
her
の皆
cat
さん、
post
光の
and
選手の皆
clings
さん、
to
メ
it.
ディアの皆さんもね、関係各社の皆さんにも本当に
I feel like she
もの
wants
す
to
ごく
learn how to
こんなに
climb
支
a
えてもらう
tree.
タイトルは他にないだろうと思うぐらい
She
支
needs
えていた
more
だいて
like
ここまで来れたので、改めて
upward
本当に感謝を
mobility.
We gotta get her
お
a
伝えしたいと思い
taller
ます。ありが
cat
とうござい
pole.
ます。
I think we need to get her like a
And
whole
it
cat
feels
tree.
like a long time, but
Another
man,
one might be a
these
good
11
idea.
years went by very
feel
Man,
quickly
this is
for
good
me.
live letter commentary,
And
isn't it?
all of our warriors of light, our players,
Talking
members of
about
the
her
media,
fucking
all of our supporting partner companies as well.
We're gonna
There
talk
were just
about
so many
our
people that
timeline
supported us
over the next
throughout
few
this
years
all.
for
So
cat,
I
getting
do want to
new
take this
things for
opportunity
cat.
to convey my
Oh yeah, we have like a
gratitude
whole
from the
other
bottom
10
of my
years of
heart.
just
So I
getting
sincerely
cat
thank
cool
everybody.
things.
Yes, absolutely.
まあ、あとは本当に
Yep,
開発
he
チ
has
ームに
leaped
も
back to the top again.
本当に厳しいスケジュールでやってきてて、まあ、
Yes,
実
she
際
wants
実
more
は拡
upward
張パッケージ
mobility.
そのものの開発期間って1年とか、下手すると1年切ってたりするんで、まあ、本当に頑張ってきてもらいました。
And
It's
I also
fun
want to
how
acknowledge
Kat's name
the
is
development
Nyx,
team
but
as well. They were
95% of the
always working
time we
against a
just call her
very
Cat.
harsh schedule, and even developing some of our expansion packs. Sometimes we have only about a year or even less than a year to get through all of the tasks that needed to get done. So I really want to show my appreciation to them as well.
さてではこれを踏まえてですね、
Only about a
ここまで
year to get
歩んで
through
き
the
た
tasks
その
needed to
11
make a
年
new expansion.
9番の状態を考えれば
Like, that's the
これ以上ないぐらい
time
の
limits they gave
成功をさせていただいたと思ってます。ここ
That's
は
kinda
あんまり言
wild.
葉を隠さずに成功できてると思ってるのでそれでいいと思ってるんですけど、まあここまではある意味もう過去になったので、ここからさらに次の10年また挑戦を続けていきたいと思います。
And looking at the trajectory here and the path we've walked down, I think I want to consider this a success from what we had taken and what state it was in when we had first taken on the project, and to bring it to where it is now. I'm not ashamed to declare it. It might be a little awkward in the Japanese, but I believe it is a success. And I think it's a good thing that we've gotten here. But now that we have gotten this far, all of this is now in the past. And so we want to look to the future. We want to see what
Let's
kind of
talk
challenges we
about
can
the
take on.
future.
というわけで
It's
2つ目のセクションである
You found
14の
futures.
新
Here
し
we
い
go.
挑戦と
Here we
題してです
go.
ね、まあ今後どういうことやっていくよというのをお伝えしていきたいと思います。
A cool title that kind of
So for the
matches the
second part of this
theme of the game
presentation,
right now.
as you see, it is entitled
Sometimes I
Newfound
forget that
Futures.
cat has a
So I
name.
would like
Yeah.
to discuss what
Cat is
we are
cat.
intending to do.
Cat is cat.
まずですね、
That's all you need to
僕
know.
としては
Cat
で
is
すね
cat.
社長からやめろって言われるか、まあ、やめろって言われても抵抗するとは思うんですけど開発チーム運営チームからやめろって言われるか
I like how you
死
can
ぬ
see
か
Alphino and
ぐ
Alizé
らいの
pulled from
以外
here.
ではポテをやめる気がなく続け
Oh, yeah,
ていきますんで、この
Is that
Nigh
really
on
what
the
you want?
biggest fucking building.
And me personally,
Literally
as
the second
Yoshida,
biggest building in this
unless
entire
the
image.
CEO says, Yoshida, you need to leave, and even then, I think I'm going to fight him. Or if like the development team,
gonna
the operations
fight
team,
him.
want to
Yoshi
kick me
P
out,
equips
or
his
if I,
monk
God forbid,
jobstone
die,
on his way
those
to
are
the
only
firing
extreme
meeting.
cases I would even consider leaving the 14 project. I want to continue working on Final Fantasy 14.
I don't think they
so
can
your
fire
continued
him.
support will
He's on the board of
definitely be
directors.
appreciated.
I'm pretty sure Square
というわけ
Enix
でで
knows
す
that
ね、
if
ま
this
ず
guy is
今
fired,
回その
this
10年
game
さらにこ
is
う
going to
14
immediately get
を
tossed into
せっ
this
かくねここま
dumpster.
で日本初のそのサービスでこの規模まで来れるっ
Looking
て
forward to
なかなかある
7.0.
こ
We're
とじゃ
not
ない
even
の
at
で、
6.1
この
yet.
先の10年に向けてまずは 7.0 をめがけて、新しいことに挑戦していこうと思ってます。
So of course, with this
No, our cat is not a
title,
bastard
and
cat.
considering
Never.
that this game
Never. She is a
was
princess.
launched
She
from
is
a
princess
Japanese
cat.
development studio, and being able
She has
to expand to
opinions.
this global
So
scope,
opinionated.
it's a rarity, I think. And so my next goal, my future goal, is now looking at 7.0 and leading up to that, what can we do?
コメントが7.0って言ったかで
大丈夫大丈夫、もうシナリオ会議の1回目やったから、
これを
合宿やったから
あ
7.0はやるよ。
people are already speculating about, oh no, 7.0 confirmed. Well, I mean, we are already talking about scenario for 7.0. I'm not afraid to say that we do intend on doing a 7.0.
まずここに向けてちょっとコンセプトを話をさせてもらいます。まずその一つ目がこちらになります。
Now, that being said, I do want to establish what my thinking is and the concept behind it, what we're trying to do leading up to 7.0. And this is the first point.
What you talking about?
まあこれ具体的にどういうことっていうのはこの後ちゃんとお話ししようと思います。
And of course, I will go into detail as to what this exactly means.
そしてですね、7.0 に向けて、チャレンジとしてですね、こちら、第1次グラフィックスのアップデートの準備開発というのをやっていきます。
Oh, hello.
And then next, again,
Time for
leading,
every single
up
one of my
to
mods to
7.0,
stop
and one of
working.
the
Hell
challenges that we want to take
yes.
on
Time
is
for
our
G-Shade
first
to break.
graphical update,
Yes.
at least the preparation and the development for it.
まあなんで第1次ってついてるかっていうのも後でね、この
I was
項目を掘
literally
り下げてちょ
talking
っと
about
話しよう
this
と
with
思
a
いま
friend
す。
of mine at work
Of
about like
course,
G-Shade and
when
stuff.
we dive into each
So
of these different points, I will touch
I'm
upon why
already
we are
very
calling
happy.
this the first graphical update.
まあ一応先に言っとくコメントが結構多いんで
Advancements as a solo and multiplayer
7.0
RPG
で
experience. That's
PS4
interesting.
が遊べなくなるってことはないです。
It's very vague,
それは
but
ない
it's
のでお
interesting.
約束しておきま
Yeah,
す。
that wording.
I do want to
Makes
clarify
me
though, because I am seeing a lot of comments wondering about this. This does not necessarily mean that we are ceasing the support for PS4 as of 7.0. So I do want to clear that out
Yeah.
first.
I mean, I'm
そして
very
です
sure
ね
that
今
they
日
can
3つ目
push the PS4 a lot
せっ
harder
かく
than
な
they
の
currently
で
are
パ
with
ッチ
Final Fantasy
6.x
XIV.
シリーズでどんなことをやっていくかというのも
Patch
お知らせし
6.x
ます。
series roadmap.
And
Are we
another
getting
point, I mean, since we are here, I would like to take the opportunity to cover what we
mean,
are planning
this
to do
roadmap-
throughout the 6.x series as
This
a sort of
roadmap is
roadmap.
probably going to be very
はい、
standard
では各項
for
目
an expansion, I'm
詳
sure.
しくよりお伝えしていこうと
Yeah,
思います。
definitely.
Diving into the details.
What?
まずコンセプトの一つ目ですね。一人でもみんなでも遊べる RPG へ、まあさらなる進化をしていきますと。
But better.
So our first concept, an even better RPG, alone or with friends.
これまあ何かというとですね、まあ読んで字のごとくなんですけど、そのファイナルファンタジー14一応ジャンルとしては MMORPG って呼ばれてます。
So, I mean, it is what it says, of course, but yes, I understand that Final Fantasy XIV as a game genre would be categorized as an MMORPG.
They kind of already took a step forward towards that with Trust.
14をやってきて、世界中のこうプレイヤーの皆さんとイベントだったり、こうまあファンフェスも含めて
I
で
think
すけ
what
ど、
they're saying
本当たくさん
here
の
is
ゲーマーの
that
人たち
they
と
want
話を
to
して
like
きまし
go
た。
even further in the direction of making
And of
it
course,
so that
throughout the
everything in the
11
game
years of
can be
doing Final
done
Fantasy
solo or
14,
with friends.
We did various events, gaming events, including Fan Festival, and I had the opportunity to speak with different gamers.
Idea.
そこでですね、あ
But
と
like
その
consider things
マー
like
ケティング
alliance
チームに
raids.
市場調査とかをしてもらって、まあこれね定期的に拡張のたびにやってるんですけど、やっぱりこう
Generate a
そこで出
system
てくる
that
23
can
っていうのが、まあ、なかなかブレイクスルーできないなっていうのがあったりもします。
And of course, I would have my
What
marketing
kind of
teams
AI is
perform
gonna
market
be
research as well, and
needed
this is
for
something we
that?
regularly do when
Like,
we
even if
start
they
to
broke
plan
it down
for upcoming
into
expansion
3
packs. And
sets of
with the
H
information that we
minus 1.
receive, and
Like,
there's
that's
almost like
still-
a question
that's
that we
gonna be a
never seem to
powerful
find a way
AI.
to break through.
2つあって、1つはファイナルファンタジーシリーズ大好きなんだよ。すごいファンなんだ。全部やってるよ。
There was act-
ただし11
There
と
was
14
actually
以外で。
something else that
っていうの
I
が
heard
めちゃくちゃ
recently
悔しい。
where the creator of the
So there's actually
solo
two,
duel
and
system in
one of them
Fozja
is
essentially
we see
said
there's a lot of
it
players
would be a
that love
great
Final
waste
Fantasy,
of this system
and
if we only
many
used
that
it in
claim
Fozja.
they've
Yeah.
played all
They're
the Final
thinking about
Fantasies
implementing
except for
it
11 and
in
14,
like
which
other
is very
aspects of
frustrating.
14.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
まあ
yeah.
11もね今かなりアップデートをかけて
Final
かなり
Fantasy
大部分ねソロで
14
遊べるように
with
快適
bitches
に
and
し
with
て
no
ますが
bitches.
14はさらにその先へ行きたいと思ってます
Yeah, I'm currently playing this game
And of
without
course,
any bitches.
we are paying attention to
Except
Final
for when
Fantasy
I play
11
with
players
you.
as well, and we've made various updates.
Yeah, you're
I
the
think it
only
has
one.
become very solo friendly recently.
Yes, it
but
has.
with Final Fantasy 14, we want to go beyond that.
あとはこうもう一つはですねオンラインなんだよね
I'm happy it's so
めんどくさい
solo-friendly.
人と遊ぶの
It's
いや
the- it's-
なんかこう人間関係
I
作
like
るの
just
嫌っ
being able
て
to
いうの
queue
が
and
ですね
do
やっぱり
things
ナンバーワンなんですよね
I
そ
think the
のプ
reason
レイ
why
をし
Final
ない理
Fantasy
由っていう
14
ところで
is succeeding so well is
The
because
second
they thought of
point,
the needs of players like
that
you.
you're trying to reach a breakthrough is
Yes.
people who comment about, oh, online play, I don't want to deal with having to play with other people. I don't want to develop relationships online.
Oh,
And
my name is
that's
Beth.
Actually, a very
Actually,
large
I was
reason, if not the
thinking of
number
my
one
brother.
reason many players kind of
Like the number one
hesitate
reason he
on
doesn't
playing
want to play in
14.
MMOs because
だ
he
から
doesn't
10
want to
年か
have
け
to
て
trust other people.
MMORPG っていうジャンルじゃなくて一人でもみんなでも遊べる RPG っていうジャンルにしたいと14を
Like I used to have
So
a
what I
raid
want to do
group,
here
which was
is
really
spend the
fun. I
next
would
10
do that
years
again.
and break out
I'm
of
not
that
a
MMORPG
100%
category. I
solo
want this to
player
be an RPG
at
that
heart.
can be enjoyed alone or with friends.
まずなので、7.0 でまでの
Large
間、
scale
フェ
updates
イス
to
シ
the
ステムの
trust
大規模アップデートっ
system.
ていうのをやっていきます。
Oh yeah.
So, as a lead up to 7.0 or until that time,
Large
we
scale
will continue
updates
to
to
make
trust.
updates to
Wow,
the trust
I was
system.
kidding about 23-man
パッチ
trust.
6.1 から6.5までの5つのメジャーパッチで全メインクエストの必
For
須
all
ID
main
と4
scenario
人を
dungeons
の
and
透明線を
4-player
全てフェイ
trials.
ス対応
Every
します。
single leveling dungeon in the game?
So as it says
Everything.
here,
And the
trust
four-player
compatibility
trials.
for all
Every
main
single
scenario
one.
dungeons
Holy
and
shit.
4-player trials
So Garuda
to be
normal?
added
Yep,
in
Garuda,
patch
3.
6.1
What
through
trust will they even
6.5.
use? Will they just use
まあ
our current set of
順次なのでね
characters, like
パッチ
randos,
例え
or...?
ば6.2 とかを見ると中途半
Okay,
端な
this
と
is
ころまでしか
interesting.
対応されてないとかいうこ
Now
とが
make them
あ
AoE?
る可能性が
Please make
高い
them
んですけど
I think
そ
like
れにね
their
怯えていると
previous
いつまで経って
philosophy
も
is that
で
they
きない
didn't
の
want to
で
make
全
them
部意見は不可能な
AoE
の
just
で
so that, like, you know,
もう
they
なので
didn't
この
completely
6.1から
overshadow
6.5つまり
the option of
7.0まで
playing
の
with other
間を
people.
次に飛び上がるために
I
ど
don't
ん
know
ど
if
ん
they
順
still
次やっ
want
て
to
いく
hold
と
to that
いう期間に当て
philosophy
させ
with
てください
wanting to make the game as good solo and as good with
of course,
friends.
these are going to be incremental implementation, and so
Okay,
you
so
might
not
look
all at
at say
once.
patch 2.0
Yeah,
over
yeah.
over all of the
6.2,
Endwalker
and
patches,
you
they're
might
going to add
notice
more
that
and more
maybe
for
not all of the
trust.
dungeons have been supported with a trust system compatibility, but if we are afraid to
Hey, do the same
make
with Explorer
progress and
mode,
be just in the
okay? I
middle
want
of
to take
work
my
in a certain
screenshots.
major patch update, we won't be able to make progress.
Oh,
I
yes,
think
please.
it's impossible
Let me
to do
take my
everything at once.
screenshots.
So we are trying
Imagine,
to
like,
address
going
this
into
as we can,
Sestasha
and
and just
we're
taking a
looking at this
stroll.
as a preparation for
Hey, you know what this
7.0,
means?
and
This means
so
it's going to
we would like
be
to ask for your
DPS leveling
understanding
is going to
as
be a
we
whole lot
lay
different
these
now.
foundations.
その第一弾となる
Well,
パッチ 6.1 では新生オールゼア編のうち、2.0 範囲を全て対応します。
Patch
So the first
6.1 will make
implementation,
ARR
patch
patch
6.1, will
2.0.
make around the
Oh.
dungeons, it's just
All of
patch
the 1 through 50
2.0
leveling
range,
dungeons.
and the scenarios duty
Wait.
become trust
Oh, 15 through
compatible.
50.
about
そ
Castrum
して
and
ですね
Praetorium?
それに
That's a good
伴って
question.
一部初期のですねメインクエスト ID とか、透滅戦もリニューアルします。
8-player trial. Okay, so normal
And then
trials will not be
further
updated.
improvements will be made to
and
some
those were
low-level
7.0 later.
main
Okay.
scenario dungeons and trials.
Jesus Christ,
ちょっと
6.1
注意
is
なん
going
で
to
すけ
be
ど
every ARR
蒼天の
dungeon.
石
That's
ガ
a
ルド
lot
に
of
入ってからの
dungeons.
8人
That's a
透
lot
滅
of
戦ストーリー上に出て
All
く
of
る
them,
あれらは
including the
ちょっとやっぱり
optional ones.
コストを全見積もりしたんですけど
I need to-
どうしてもこう 6.1 から
Like
6.5 の期間で
Yeah,
は
hang on,
対
hang on.
応しきれ
Photo
ないので
serious?
8人の透滅戦に関しては 7.0 以降順次対応していくつもりです。
So
you may see the
if
disclaimers on the
we
bottom,
assume
but,
that Castrum and
for
Praetorium
the
are
8-player
not
trials,
included,
especially those,
that's 1, 2, 3,
with
4, 5, 6,
the
7, 8,
Heaven's
9,
Word
10, 11,
expansion.
12. That
I'm
is
afraid
12 dungeons.
we are unable to
12,
update it at this time. We tried to calculate all the cost and the resources that it would take for us to address all of this within that sort of 6.1 through 6.5 timing, but I'm afraid
Such
we would be
devastation.
unable to allocate the resources
This
for it.
is
So
their intention.
we will get to it after 7.0. Yeah, these updates will be considered for 7.0 or
So
later.
8-player
まあ
trials
もち
will
ろん
not
皆
be
さんご
updated
存知
until
の
after
通り、そ
7.0.
の
It
通
sounds
常のね
like,
マッ
which
チン
is
グがなくな
fair.
るわけじゃないの
Absolutely
で、
And that's not
fair.
guaranteed.
あくま
They're
で
going to
ストーリ
consider
ー
it
を
after
一人で進
7.0.
めていきたいっていう人のための機能なので、
はいはい
レベリングルーレットだったりね、マッチングっていうところはそのまま継続していくので、そこはご承知おき
At
く
the
だ
end
さい
of。the 6 point, I mean, at the end of Final Fantasy
And of
XI's
course,
lifespan,
we
wasn't
don't
pretty much
intend to do
everything
away
trustable as
with the
well?
regular matching systems. Your leveling
Pretty sure that's
dungeons
the
and
case.
queue matching in duty finders will still be active and available. These trust
I'll be really
compatibility
glad
is
that
primarily for
If
those
that
who
happens, like
a
a little
have a
bit
strong
before
desire
the
to
end of
play
the
through
life of
these story
14.
dungeons on their own.
Though I really only queue in
で
as
そうで
trust
す
when I
ね、
need
8
to
人透滅
like
戦は
learn a
今
class,
回
like I
行月
did
の
it
フ
for
ィナー
Paladin
レ
a
で
couple
ハ
of
イデリン透滅
times.
戦でテストケースをしても含めてやったんですけど、やれることはなんだろう、確証を得られたんですけど、まあ相当やっぱりコストがかかるっていうのと、
I
ギミッ
wonder
クから
if they're
調整してい
going
か
to
ないとい
add
けないっていうこと
dialogue
もあ
for
って、
all of the
ま
scions
ず
in
数の多
every
い
single
ID から優先させていただきます。あとはね、8人で責任半のかかり方がちょっと減るんで、やっぱり。
Yeah,
まあここは
11 isn't gonna get any more
逆にマ
updates.
ッ
I
チング
think
の面白
last
さみたいなと
year's
ころも味わ
update
って
was
もらい
like
たい
the
ので、一
last
旦
one.
7.0以降にさせてください。
And of course, with these 8-people trials or 8-person battles, we did try it out with the Mother Crystal trial, and we were able to see success as like a test case, but it did require a lot of resources for us to build it. And then if we were to
yeah, that
start
shit doesn't seem
applying
to be
that
easy.
system to existing dungeons, we'd have to adjust the mechanics so that it would accommodate for the trust system. So at this time, we made the decision to move forward with just the instanced dungeons. And with an 8-person trial, I think that sort of reduces the responsibility per person.
You want to
going
try
into the
11
match,
at some
hopefully.
point?
So
I
we're
feel
hoping
like
that
I'd
players
get
would
bored of
still
11
jump into
very,
like
very
a duty
quickly.
finder and
I
hopefully
feel like
get
11
the
currently has
enjoyment
the
out of matching up
reputation
with random
of
people.
being like
So at this
ARR,
time,
but the
we are
entire
unable to
game.
address it within the 6.1 through 6.5 period, but we are looking to it for
I just don't think it would
or later.
engage me specifically.
でちょっと注意なんですけど、
はい。
まあどうしてもフェイスっていう呼び方をすると、
うん
暁といけんのかなとか名のある NPC といけんのかなってイメージがちょっと強いと思うんですけど、ストーリー上こう
I'd love to know the
そのマ
story
ッ
of
チング
11
でしか
at
いけ
some
ない
point.
からこそ、じゃあ俺は他のことをやってくるみたいなのでこうみんなちょっといなくなったりとかしてたと思うんですよ。あれまで全部変えるはさすがに無理なので特に序盤とかは冒険者ギルドのメンバーだったりとか、暁の光のなんだろうこう光の加護を持っているであろう他のメンバーみたいなイメージで組むケースが多いです。
And I want to make another
So this is an exciting
point
update.
Of
I'll be looking
caution
forward to see
here.
how it works.
Whenever we say trust
There's going to
compatibility,
be a lot of details to it for
I
sure.
think the thought that, oh, can we go into this dungeon with members of the Scions?
Oh.
Or any sort of named NPCs. And some of these story dungeons have key players kind of leaving the scene, like where the Warrior of Light goes into a dungeon and say somebody goes up and say, oh, I'm going to take care of matters over there. We can't have them come back just to join you in the dungeon.
Okay,
So
these
in
are going to
those
be
cases,
faceless NPCs, huh?
Especially the earlier dungeons, you will see your trust members as like members from the Adventurers Guild or maybe other people who have the Echo accompany you in these dungeons.
ただまあキーになる ストーリー上のキーにな
probably
る
just
ポイン
going
ト
to be
で、
like
まあこいつはやっぱり本当は男女一緒に行ってほしかったなってプ
I mean,
レイヤ
yeah,
ーの
that's
皆さん
smart.
が思ってるようなポイントは
So, you know,
シナ
given
リ
that
オ
they
一部カッ
had
トシーン
like,
も
you
含め
know,
てちょ
the
っと
whole
変更して
avatar
でも
system
で
where
き
you
る
could
だ
have
け
avatars
そ
of
れ
the
に
scions in your
まあ
trust
添えるよう
party,
に
even if they were never
やっ
supposed
ぱり
to
ゼク
be
と
there.
対峙するときはエスニアンも行って欲しかったなみたいな
Like,
や
you
つ
can
は
have
で
the
きる
scions
限
and
りそういうシチュエー
Katesis
ショ
in
ンは
trust, for
なんとか
example.
対応していこうと思ってるので
And it just says that it's their
一部ね
avatars.
それもちょっと変更する部
But
分
I
が
guess
あ
they
る
don't
か
want
な
to
と
do
は
that
思い
for
ます
this.
全部は無理なんで、はい、そこはご了承ください。
Cory
But
Boulder.
that being said, there are
Cory
certain
Boulder in
key
Sestasha,
points in
what
the
will he
story
do?
where we do understand players might have a very strong desire to have particular NPCs accompany you in a dungeon. So in some extreme cases, and not extreme cases, but like some key points, the team will make some adjustments. We may have to change a part of the script so that it'll make sense for the character to join you. An example I can come up with off the top of my head is probably the Nidhogg battle. I'm sure a lot of people would have thought like, oh, it would have been nice to have Estinian join as part of the Trust NPC. So we're considering having that available. So there may be some
Wait, how could
content
Nidhogg
that accommodates
include
for certain
Estinian
NPCs
as
to
a
join
trust
you.
NPC?
I'm
Like,
afraid we can't
Nidhogg
address
is,
all
like,
of them.
body
We can't make it
jacking
happen with all of the dungeons.
Estinian.
So your
Remember, there's
understanding on
the
that would be
first Nidhogg
appreciated.
fight.
Oh, right. That's
そ
dungeon,
し
of
てで
course.
すね
Alright.
ごめんねちょっ
Oh
と長
yeah,
くて
you just make it so that he's not just like
パート1の時に
sitting
また
around
詳し
with
く
the
お
eyes
話しし
saying,
ようと
"You
思いま
must
すが
slay these
新生オルゼ
minions."
後半って結構今の
Oh, wait,
レギュレー
does
シ
that
ョンと
mean he
違
might
って
actually
し
be
ま
able
って
to
る
heal
こうダンジョンとかが多いので
by
かな
like
り手が入っ
drinking
て
a
ますいろい
goddamn
ろ
potion?
And of course,
I
with
wouldn't put it
the
that far.
details of 6.1,
No,
we will
probably
have a
not. You're right.
dedicated
That's
like
not in
letter for
character.
that.
Oh, imagine
and I will
Azale
delve
as a
into
trust
details at that
NPC.
time. But I do want to mention that
Oh, no.
much of the content, especially in the later half of ARR,
I'd say imagine Moonbreeda
differ
as a
in
trust
how
NPC,
the
but they killed her
regulation is set
2
up.
minutes
So
after they
there are
introduced
changes
her.
that have been made.
まあ例えばトトラとかの
No,
ドゥーン
when
ってなっ
she
て
would
ヘビースローがかかるヘビーがかかる床とかなくなってます
maybe in the
For
Nabrialas
example,
fight?
like when you go into
But that's a trial, they're not
the
doing
Thousand
that.
Laws of
they're not
Totorak,
doing that,
and
you're
you
right.
step on those like
There
poison
aren't
floors, and
really
all of a
lot
sudden you are
dungeons where
hit
There
with
aren't
heavy
any.
or slow.
where she would fit.
We're
yeah.
actually getting rid of that.
まあ、あとはちょっと Q14 から申請するのに急いで作ってちょっとライティング良くないなとかいうところのダンジョンもちょっと絵的な調整もそれなりにやってます。
And there are also some aesthetical changes that we wanted to make. There were certain areas of the earlier part of FF14 when we were trying to quickly just relaunch as a Realm Reborn. So there were areas where lighting may not have been 100% to what we would have been satisfied with. So we went back in and adjusted those as well.
そしてですね、まあ他にもですね、8人パーティーバトルの一番最初であるビッドアッティン教習戦なんですけど、なくなります。
And then one of the first 8-person party battles that you encounter, I believe, is Camp Westwind. And I want to mention that we are doing away with that.
Wait, what?
大ショックを受けて
What?
ですね
Whoa, whoa,
People are
whoa.
getting shocked.
Cape Westwind
帝
dead?
国の盾としてね、武人として
Westwind
身を挺してやってきた、ね、帝国将軍の一人、まあ将軍ではないけど正しくは8人でフルボッコはいかがだろうかということでですね、
はい
ちゃんとコス
It
トを
was
か
too
けてですね
difficult.
ク
It
エ
was
スト
too
インスタン
difficult.
スバト
Nobody
ルと
could
して
do it.
生
It
ま
was
れ
a
変わりますの
huge
で
stopper in the story. Nobody could get past it. Nobody's finished
Considering
ARR in years.
Litatine is like the shield of the Garland Empire. I mean, he's technically not a captain, but like, I mean, he's like a very prominent figure. I think it would be very humiliating for 8 people to come in and just beat him up. So we actually allocated
You're
the
only just now
resources
thinking
to
about that?
rebuild that battle.
Oh, they're
So that
rebuilding
it's
it.
going to be a quest instanced battle that you
Oh.
go in.
That's a
まあ
solo
他に
instance
も
now?
内閣外閣と
Westwind is
呼
a
ばれている
solo
8
instance
人
now.
ダンジョン
Oh.
あれらもですね今回
Actually,
すべ
that
て4
sounds
人を
rad.
ID に作り直してあ
Westwind
ります。
solo instance.
I need to
And
do
of course,
that. I need to find a way to
the
do
Praetorium
that.
and the Castrum sorry, I can't pronounce it. Meridianum. Those very long Guardian bases that you need to go.
Oh, I think we missed it earlier, but they also said that they're removing the fucking heavy debuff from
we are going to
Totorak.
be changing it so that these are
thank
4-person
Christ.
instant dungeons.
Thank you.
Instanced dungeons.
なのでアルテマウェポン戦も切り出し
Thank
て
fuck for that.
4人用としてシナリオモードを作ってであとラハブレアが憑依したサンクレットさんを8人でただひたすら無言で殴るっていうのもストーリー用のクエストインスタンスバトルとして作り直してるので
大工事ですね。
はい。
And so your battle with Ultima, or the Ultima weapon, will be changed to a 4-person battle. We are adjusting the scenario mode for that. And then
Praetorium is 4 people?
silently beat up La Habrea, aka Thancred being possessed by La Habrea, is also going to be adjusted so that it's an instance during a story quest.
まあそんな風にコストもですねレギュレーション今のプレイフィールにできるだけ近づけられる
4 people Praetorium and then La Habrea is a solo instance.
Evil Thancred is a solo instance.
Oh, they're breaking up Praetorium so that it's not like a huge thing anymore. They're breaking it up. Holy shit!
Yeah, in a nutshell, we are going
Honestly,
in
that's
and making many
wild.
adjustments
Miracles
so
are
that
real.
it fits with kind of follows suit better with
That
how the
also
game
means it's not
feels
going to
at
be an
this time.
XP
So
thing anymore.
Rip
throughout
MSQ
patch
roulette? I think
6.1 through
so.
6.5,
I
we
think it
will
might
be
be-
looking at the various
I think we are seeing
content
the
up
end of
to the
MSQ roulette.
4.x
Play
series
the
on the different
world's
instance
tiniest
dungeon to
violin
make adjustments.
for MSQ roulette.
さあではこのセクション
I will not miss
以上で次へ行きたいと思います
Okay, so moving on to the
Kat,
next
what do you think of
section.
these MSQ changes?
Oh, she's enthralled.
Yeah,
2つ
Kat
目
is
の
watching the
新しい
TV right
挑
now.
戦ですね。この
Preparing for years of service to come.
6.1から
First graphical update. Here we
6.5 までの
go.
期間まあ 7.0 リリースまでの期間を使ってですね
Kat
ま
is
ず
watching the live letter
まあ
right
初期
now,
運営
have
や
y'all
っていく
know.
上で第一次のグラフィックスアップデートを裏でね作業させていただきます。
So our second concept, and again, this is going to be the preparation that we will be doing throughout patch 6.1 through 6.5, leading up to the launch of 7.0. It is a long-term, or like preparations for long-term operation of the game, and we want to be doing this in the background, but we'll be preparing for our first graphics update.
All right.
ただまあなぜ
Tell
第
me
一次グラフィックスアップデートと言って
Oh wait, graphics update. Doesn't this mean deeper character creation? I remember hearing that whispers of that like a week ago or something.
Deeper character creation?
Yeah.
Like more
So
options.
the reason
or
why we named this the
more,
first
like,
graphical
fine-tuning?
update, and
I don't
that's
know.
of course to imply that there
I would
will
like
probably
greater
a second
options.
and
I
or
hate
third
fine-tuning.
after this, but our game has been in operation for about 11 years, and considering all the graphical assets we have produced, it's an insane amount.
やっぱり一気に極限まで上げようとすると絶対コンバートミスがあったりとか、そもそもコンバートの物理時間が足りなくてもうデザインチームが無理です絶対できませんっていう答えになってしまうのでまあやれることを一回やって引き上げたらまたその状態で安定が見えたら次のをやってっていう形でまあその第1回目が来るんだというふうに思ってください。
This is their intention.
So if we attempted to update every single piece of graphical asset or resource that we've put into the game all at the same time, we might run into issues of conversion errors, or it's just physically takes a lot of time to convert everything. And consulting with the graphics team, they already know that we can't address everything all at the same time. And so what we're trying to do is address these in phases so that we can test out certain elements, see how they work, and if it seems to be stable, we move into the next phase. And so I think
yeah,
with
they're
our
doing this
first
like in
graphical
layers.
update,
Okay.
this will be like the first time we start testing some of these elements.
4K グレープスでめっちゃ吹いたんだけど
I saw a comment that says 4K grapes. Thank you so much for that. That is hilarious.
あそこに 4K とかね、なんか40万ポリゴンとかかけてると、それこそ940みたいにキャラクター全然表示できねえぞってことになっちゃうので、まあちょっとこれから詳しく説明はしますよ。
That's hilarious, but like imagine spending so much resources just to get the grapes to be 4K resolution. And imagine
4K
400,000 polygons just to depict a piece of fruit. We won't have enough resources to render our characters on screen. But let me go into the details.
No, only grapes. Only grapes need to be seen. We don't need to see anything else.
そのグラフィックスア
Plan
ッ
for
プデート
implementation in
は一気に
7.0, okay.
7.0 での投入を予定してます。
So again, these graphical updates are intended to be implemented in 7.0.
まあその次期拡張パッケージまでの間っていうのを、まあ僕らのそのグラフィックスのアップデートのシェーダー追加したりとか、いろんなものを追加していくテスト期間だったり、プログラム期間だったり、それに合わせたグラフィックスアセットのコンバート期間というふうにさせてください。
So until 7.0, this will be, again, our preparation period. So this is where our team will be testing out various additions to the graphical
Kinda worried
elements,
about the graphics update, your
different
PC struggles in
shaders.
Gridania?
We'll probably need to write more programs.
I think that's maybe that's just because of how many players are on screen. Maybe you could like pull them a little harder. I don't know.
でここが重要なんですけど、あくまでやっぱりマルチプレイのゲームであるっていうのをぜひ覚えておいてほしくて、やっぱり画面全体の美しさ、9番から申請した時に感じていただいたように、やっぱり総合的な美しさ、世界の美しさっていうのを追求していきますよ、コンセプトとしては。
Of course, one key point that we want players to understand is that this is still a multiplayer game, and so we want to strive for the aesthetic quality
Finally,
of the
we'll
overall
have Final Fantasy XIV in 1080p.
The sort of beauty or the element, aesthetically pleasing sort of overall picture.
Yes, this music.
まさにね、発売されたホライゾンのさクオリティでさ動くと思われたら困るわけだよ。あれで俺たち300人とか描画しなきゃいけないんで、いやできはするんだけど、みんなの PC 動かないよ。確かに。
I just took a picture of
I
Cat.
see games like Horizon Forbidden West, and I don't want to get people to think that we'll raise our graphic quality to that. It's amazing, yes, but imagine having to have to render 300 different characters on screen at the same time at that quality. And it's not physically impossible, but then I don't think it's going to run on anybody's PC.
No, it will not run on my PC if you try that.
Cat.
So please keep that in mind.
Cat. Oh, she's so perfect.
ここをね、なんか勘違いされるのが一番怖い。
That's the scariest thing for people to kind
The
of
most important thing here is
misconstrue.
Cat.
で、当然なんですけど、
Animation and lighting system
まあその世
updates.
界
Whoa.
画面全体の美しさっていうと
New
ころにやっ
graphics
ぱ
will
アニ
not
メ
be
ーションと
comparable
か
to
ライ
those
テ
of
ィングシステム
standalone
っていう
titles.
の
Of
も
course, this is an
普及してると
MMO.
思うので、このあたりもアップデートしていき
Minimum
ます。
operating specifications will also change as
And of course,
7.0.
considering
And we'll try to
the
accommodate a
sort of
broader range of
overall
hardware specs. Okay.
aesthetic,
But,
animation
yeah.
is going to be a key element.
Oh,
We're looking
animation,
at,
though. Does that mean new
lighting is
emotes?
another element that we want to
New emotes,
adjust
new
as
better
well.
cutscenes. We've already seen the better cutscenes, like in Shadowbringers and Endwalker, but even better cutscenes. 1.x level cutscenes.
今までより長尺のこうエモートモーションが作れるとか、あとまあそのライトの数が増えることで、実は潰れていたバックグラウンドのディティールがより見えてきて、リソースに手を加えなくても綺麗に見えるみたいなところもあるんで。
So what we mean by different updates to animation and lighting systems is, for example, I know people would automatically start talking about, oh yeah, memory issues with animation. So if we revisit some of the allocation of the memory for animation, it might allow us to create emotes with a longer animation loop, or with lighting, they're just having more lights than we had originally set up would allow for details that would have been sort of washed out or like not visible because of insufficient lighting to kind of show up. And so that will allow for an improvement in the graphical quality, adjust the elements that are already in the game.
まあ重要なところです。はい。スタンドアローンのゲームクオリティにはなりません。これをですね、皆さん
This game is not gonna look like Horizon Forbidden West.
していただきたいぐらい。
It also better not burn anyone's retinas,
And
including my
again,
own.
very
My
important
retinas
point
are
I want to
sensitive
stress
enough,
again,
thank you.
the new graphics will not be comparable to those of standalone titles. This is, again, very important. I want you to remember it. I want you to repeat it before you go to bed. That's how much I want people to remember.
まあとはいえ、やっぱりグラフィックス
You know that when these graphics come out, there's still gonna be people that are like, what the fuck? This isn't next gen. Fuck
7.0 では
this
最低
shit.
動作保証スペックの条件が、まあ、変わるのは確定です。
Well,
ただできるだけ多くのスペックにね対応できるっていうところはこれまでのポリシーでもあるので、捨てずにやっていきたいと思ってます。
Horizon
So,
Zero
that
West.
being said, we do want to update the graphics for sure,
I think it's
and
more
so that
Forbidden
means
West? I don't
your
remember.
Yes, that's it.
processor might require more power in order to render these graphics properly or like efficiently. So we will probably have to
might need a new
update the system
CPU.
requirements for your
That's fine.
For your machines
Yeah,
and your
that's fair.
PCs. We will try our best to accommodate for as many models of machines to accommodate with the changes, but we do want
I mean,
to
no matter how they
make you
update the
aware
graphics, I'm
that,
pretty sure that both
it
of our
is pretty much
computers are
guaranteed that we
powerful
will
enough to
have
handle whatever they
update the
do.
system requirements.
Yeah, even if I have to like drop the quality a bit, I'm one of those players that I'm totally comfortable doing that.
I don't know. Max settings currently like is barely a drop in the bucket for both of our rigs.
Well, if you remember correctly, max settings did literally blue screen my computer.
Well,
I know
that's
people are wondering
because your
about
graphics
PlayStation
card
4
is a little
support as of
touched.
7.0. I think what's
It's
going to
a little
happen, and this will
Yeah.
probably be done prior to the launch of 7.0, so
No,
sometime
it was a
within the
green
6.x
screen,
series.
and-
People are already
we do
starting
want
Cape
to
Westwind memorial
optimize the
parties.
PS4 version, for sure.
Do you have a
で
picture of that,
そ
Dahlia?
のさらにですね、まあ PC 版にあるようにグラフィックスオプションのカスタムっていうの PS4 版少ないんですけど、
They have, like, this whole,
あれを増やしてですね、
like, sneaking
新しいその
section
描
right
画とか
before you go to
入れるとやっぱ
Cape
重くなる
Westwind
部分がある
anyway.
の
They might
で、
even make
重くても
that
綺麗でいいやって人は
section of it
オンにしてもらえばいいんだけど、
still
まあオフにしてそ
Just
の
make
フ
it
レー
a
ムレートを
whole
優先
event.
するみたいなことができるようにしていく
Kinda
の
like
で、
Thancred
PS4 の
in
サ
his
ポートっていうのも
sneaking mission.
少なくとも 7.0 のタイミングではしっかりやりますので。
That could be really fun and really cool.
So, and on top of that, there are various graphical configurations that you can set up on the PC version. Like you can customize some of the like display options, and we understand that it's a bit lacking in the PS4 version. So we do want to implement options in the configuration so that you can select like prioritize frame rate, or if you want to, if you're okay with performance kind of dropping slightly, but still have the graphics performance, then you can select that option, whatnot. So I do want to assure you that we will continue supporting for PS4 at least until 7.0.
Wait, this is scary! Whoa! Whoa, whoa, this is scary! What the hell?
What people's reactions are.
That is some wildly realistic skin, and I hate it.
Stop looking at me!
俺かと思ったって言ってる。
I don't like him.
Some people saying, "Oh, is that me?"
I don't like him.
そうそうそう。なんかさ、多分ね、
Fucking jump scare!
I hate all of
これじゃない
the pores in
よね、
his
多分みんな。
face.
I hate his shiny tear duct.
I don't think this is what
Tear duct.
we are looking for.
I don't want
It's not what
anyone to
we
look
would
like this. I don't want
desire.
Eve to look like this.
なんか疲れた
I
ら
want
雪だって書かれてる。
our hair to be that good moving
People are
forward.
saying
The
this
hair
looks like a
would be
very
nice,
tired
but
Yoshida.
そうなんか違う
we don't need the
でしょ
shiny tear duct.
Yeah,
No, we
it
don't.
kind of does feel awkward.
Yeah, no shit. Oh. Okay,
まあ
good.
ここまでリアル
Good,
に
good. Wow.
So
They
we
rendered
aren't
this
going to be
just for the purpose of saying
working
no
to
it.
make it look this real.
まあいわゆるフォトリアルを追求していくとグラフィックスアップデートってこっちに行きがちなんですけど、おそらくファイナルファンタジー14の世界やキャラクターが気に入ってくださってる方、多分こっちを求めてはいないと思ってます。
Okay, are you gonna show us what the
some
goal
games,
is?
of course, their intent is to lean towards that photorealistic depiction.
Honestly, I
And
just don't think it
people
would
tend to
fit
lean
in with
this
like Final
direction, but I
Fantasy
think for
14's
those
just
who
look in
enjoy the
general.
aesthetic of Final Fantasy
Photorealism would
14,
stand
this is
out,
not
honestly.
necessarily what we want to begin with.
では、今そのグラフィックスアップデートって実はテスト開発もスタートさせてるんですけど、テストスタートしてからまだ1ヶ月と1週間ぐらいなんですね。
So with these graphical
I
updates, we are
can't
already
wait to see
starting
the memes
testing,
from that
actually,
fucking
and it's been about
render.
a month and about a month and a
There are
week.
gonna be so many.
なのでその
So many.
1ヶ月と1週間ぐらいテストをして、まあこれだった
How
ら
many
もう
people
まあ
are
今
going
出して
to
もまあい
try
けるだろう
to
ここ
render
まで
their
は。
own
まあこれ以上を目
characters
指す
with
ん
this
だけ
much
ど、
photorealism?
まあ少なくとも一旦お見せしても
Who's
こ
gonna
こまでは間違いなく大丈夫だよあると 7.0 でっていうのを
I
用意して
just
きたん
saw
で
on
ちょっと
my
見ていきましょ
Twitter
うか。
what in the Unreal Engine
And
jump
so we
scare.
are still very early in our testing stages, again, about a month or so testing, but we do have results that we're seeing that is, of course, we're going to aim higher than what we're going to be showing you, but it's I think it's coming out pretty nicely, and we are relatively confident. So let us show you some of these images.
Wait, hang on. Hang on.
こちらがですねテスト期間1ヶ月目のサンプルです。キ
Hey!
ャラクターですねまず。
Hey, that's not bad. Look at the
So
hair.
from
Look at the
first
hair. Look
month
at the
of
hair.
testing. So this is one of the samples.
これ左が今で右が
They
テ
still
クスチャー
got
をハイ
shiny
レゾ
tear
リュー
ducts.
シ
I
ョ
don't
ン化
think
して
that's
ます。髪の毛も
necessary.
含めて。であとシェーダーを1枚入れてます。
Okay, show me
And
a
so what you're
picture of
seeing
Eve
is
now.
the current image on the
Show
left,
me
and then
Eve.
on the right, we've made the textures high resolution, and we've added a layer of shaders.
あと、セルフシャドウって言って自分の髪の毛の影が顔に落ちた時、まあその自分のオブジェクトが自分に影を落とすのをセルフシャドウって言うんですけど、そこも調整してるので、結構ね、セルフシャドウ実はすごい気になってて、カットシーンとかでも。
And one thing that we did pay attention to was the self shadow, or whenever there's like an object that drops the shadow on yourself, especially if you look at the bangs and the shadow it casts underneath it. That was something that I was kind of I wanted to address looking at the cutscenes in the past.
でまあこれ1ヶ月目のサンプルなので、もっと上目指せるとは思ってるんですけど、動作保証あまりにも重くならないっていう意味では、今一旦お見せできるのはここまで。まあこの上さらにいろんなことをやった上で最適化していって、まあやれるより高いところは目指していこうかなと思ってます。
So of course we do want to strive for even better, but at this time I think from 1 month of testing and making sure that the game itself runs properly, I think this is what we can show at this time, and then we'll continue to test and we'll continue to sort of improve and then apply optimization.
Oh, those eyes look really good. Look at those
まあ
eyes.
いわゆるヒロシと呼ばれてる
High res
彼でや
with
るとこんな感
shaders,
じです。
honestly, is
Or
looking pretty
they're
good.
I like those eyes. I do.
Oh yeah, there's
でちょっと
actually
見
light
取
in
っての
them.
サンプルです。
Oh shit! Why
Oh,
did you pick the worst
okay.
haircut?
まあ戦月賞のボケ具合が、
Wow, those
まあ
eyes.
なく
Those
なった
eyes
り
are
ですね。
seriously
髪の毛の
like
柔ら
yeah,
かい
those are
その
good.
カールの印象とかってちゃんと出てるのと、まあセルフシャドウがボケてない
It's
ので
going to
綺
melt
麗に
my
かかるようになります。
PC.
But this is better.
Of course, you
Dahlia,
may
you need to
notice
do
the
PC,
face
I'm
paint. The
sorry.
war paint is a lot crisper now.
This is
And then,
better.
as mentioned earlier, self shadow is nicer.
This
I
is
think
better.
it's
My PS4
brings out the softness of
burns.
her face.
まあこれがだいたい1ヶ月目だっていうのをぜひ認識しておいてください。
Whoa, he is sculpted.
Again, just to remind you, this is
Sculpted
after
Rogan.
testing for about a month.
Oh, I love it. Honestly, that looks really good.
Okay, this one's a little scary. But this one has more of those Unity pores.
Also, why is everything slightly thinner than before, or is it just my imagination?
まあ
Oh,
この方向性で良さ
I
そう
like
よ
the
ね
I
やっ
like
ぱ
the
りね
work that
みん
they
なの
did
コ
on
メ
the
ント見てる
eyes.
と
The eyes across the board looks good.
Looking at everybody's comments,
Hey,
it seems
I
like
see
we
that
are on the right track in
HDR
terms of, like,
shadows
the direction
on
we
the
wanna
hair.
take it to.
That just looks
So
like
it's
a G shade right there.
でララフェルがね一番難しいんですよ
Oh, there's your Lala.
お
There's your Lala.
And the
Looks
Lalka
good.
was actually quite challenging.
なんかリアルにするところがなくて
Look at the shading
No
and as well as
areas
the
really to
highlight on
make
the
it
bow
quote
of her
unquote
hair.
realistic.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
look the shine there. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, this is
まあでも髪の毛綺麗になって、目の周りはものすごく鮮明になってまあキャラメイクしておけばねもちろんいろんなパターン作れるとは思うんですけど
And look, you can actually
But I think
like not
the
see the
hair has
pixels of their
definitely
hair
gotten
as
more
much anymore.
defined,
Yeah,
and then
yes.
the eyes
that's
has
good.
become very crisp, and it looks a lot more alive.
I think
so
the
to speak,
eyes is the
and
most important
with
part,
being
honestly.
able to character create,
You know,
I think
every single
it'll
image
have
is
like
a
it will
meme
allow for players for
to be
a
made,
broad
right?
range.
そうね肌の感じをどこまでそのなんだろう本当にツルツルにするのかララフェルは、こう少しそうは言ってもちゃんと肌っていう感じを出すのかは、結構ね調整が難しいところだとは思ってるので、ただ皆さんが求めてるであろう方向性は理解してるつもりなので、しっかり種族ごとにですね調整しながらいきたいなと思ってます。
And it's still a challenge to figure out how do we depict the surface of their skin. Like, do we make it completely like flawless, spotless, or do we actually give it some texture to make it look like skin? We want to believe that we understand what the players are looking for, but it is something that we still need to kind of explore.
まあなんて言ったってね、11年も皆さんと一緒にこのゲーム作ってきてるんで、
そうですね。
皆
God,
さんが
stop
求め
playing
る
the
ことは理解してる
Garlemald
つもりでは
theme.
あり
It's
ま
giving
す。
me stress.
But again, we've been with you guys for about 11 years at this time, so we want to believe that we understand what the players are looking for.
ですいませんちょっとテスト1ヶ月目ということでですねキャラクターサンプルとしては以上になります、またなんだろう途中でねファンフェスのタイミングとか
Now I
また
wonder
途中経過とか
I
ね
wonder if
お
this
知ら
will
せして
also
いけたらな
come
と思って
with
ま
that
す
deeper upgrade to the character
So
creator.
yeah, because we are still in the early stages of testing. As for character
Hey, show me female
samples, that is
Hrothgar, by
all
the
that we
way.
have at this time. We're hoping that we
That's
can
not gonna
continue to update
Also, that's all they
everybody
have at
on
this
the
time.
status. Perhaps maybe next time we can do it at like a fan festival or something like that.
じゃあ改めてですねそのキャラクターまずそのグラフィックス
Wait,
第一次グラフィックスア
just
ップデートでキャラクターに関する表現のアップデート項目をお知らせしておきます。
Okay, so just wanted to recap all of the different elements that we need to update for our first graphical updates in terms of characters.
Get that away from me.
まずですね全体的にテクスチャーを高解像にしていきます。髪とか肌とかそれから今日ちょっとねご紹介できてないですけど装備品のテクスチャーの解
All
像
you
度も
need
上げ
is
てい
like
きます。
some Joker paint.
So first
Oh,
one
this is
would be
great.
higher
Paint on
resolution
them.
textures with
That's it, we're
more
dead.
clear skin, and we weren't
Oh
able to
my
show any examples
God.
today, but we do want to improve the textures
Higher
of
texture
the gear
resolution
as well.
for hair, skin, gear, and more.
でさらにですねこれはシェーダーと呼ばれる、処理になってくるんですけど質感の表現というのを向上させていきます。例えば肌それから装備品の金属部分、あと布って、布用のシェーダーっていうのが実はあって、
I
Q14
think
には
they're
入れ
just
てたんです
saying
け
that
ど
like
重すぎて
like materials will have like better texture to them, you know, like the like shininess of like metal will look like better, I guess.
研究トライして
And like
also applies
fabric,
to,
you'll
like-
see like the mesh and the seam
And
is
then
better,
the
I
next
think.
item, and this is
I hope that
relating
also applies to
to
things
various
like metallic
shaders,
dyes,
shader
you know?
processing, which is improved material
It's
qualities.
interesting how we didn't see an
of
Ellison
course, skin, metal,
comparison
and fabric.
in that little
It's
slideshow we
interesting
got
because
earlier.
in the 1.0
That's all they had at that
or like
time,
the old
'cause they're
version
still
of
in a
Final
lot of
Fantasy
testing.
14, there was a shader or like a process that was just applied to fabric so that it would look the textures would the texture quality would look like fabric, but it was too heavy of a load on processing, so we had to remove it in the relaunch. But we're testing various ways to see if we can apply something like that to make fabric a bit more
patch notes.
smoother and more fabric-like. And we're still kind of researching and
taking up
trying
too
out
much
various
memory.
methods.
そしてですね、キャラクターに対してのライティングとシャドウの強化
Better
という
lighting
の
and
を
shadow
やってい
effects.
きま
Yep.
す。
For
特にね、
shadows,
見栄え
very
に
good.
直結しやすいこうセルフシャドウに関してはすごくずっと気になってたんで。
Overall appearance of player characters will be altered as
And
little
then again,
as possible.
lighting and shadow,
Will be applied
better
to
lighting
old
and shadow
NPCs
effects, especially
where
for the
possible
player's
from
shadows.
7X onward. Testing for additional improvements will
まあ
continue in
さ
the
っきも
future.
話しましたけど、できるだけプレイ
Just
ヤーの
across
皆
the
さんの
board,
今のキャラ
everything's
クター
just
に持っ
gonna
てる
be
イ
a
メ
little
ージっていうの
nicer.
が変わらないように、綺麗になったな俺のキャラって思ってもらえるようにしていきたいと思ってます。
Of course, again, our goal is to make it so that the overall appearance of player characters will be altered as little as possible. We want you guys to see the graphical updates and think, oh wow, my character's become pretty.
で注意点が2つあって、まず1つ装備品。
So pretty.
信じられない数のアセットがあるので、
I already look at my fun boy and think that every single day.
不可能です。
Hang on, look at this comparison.
So 2 points of caution.
This, and then...
The gear. We mentioned about updating the material quality of gear, but you know, there's an incredible, unbelievable amount of gear available for all of
That's
our
really
player
funny.
characters, and considering we'd have to convert them all, we will not
hilarious.
be able to get through converting all of the
loving these
gear by
memes.
the 7.0 timing.
なので 7.0 で新しく実装されている装備っていうのは全て今回のグラフィックスアップデートを経た内容で作っていきます。なのでクオリティがより高いもので全部用意するつもりです。
So any gear that is implemented,
I saw someone comment on the scary Unity.
Gone through the process of the updated graphics.
Someone commented on it.
Of course,
John
those will
Video
be of the higher
Games.
quality.
That's him.
ただし、
It's
できる限り
Video
こうプ
Games.
レイヤーの皆さんがミラプリとかをして
It's Meteor Video Games.
おしゃれによく使っているものに関してはちょっと優先的にできる限り対応をして、またパッチ 7.x シリーズで徐々にその古い装備っていうのも新しい仕様に少しずつこう対応していけるようにというふうに思ってますので、ちょっと数年がかりで全体が上がっていくことにはなるかと思いますが、よろしくお願いします。
But we understand that there are certain glamours that people use often, so we want to look at those and try to get those done
Yes.
with a higher priority in terms of like which to get to.
Improve the common
And
glance.
throughout the 7.x series is when we will address the rest of the previous equipment
Give me
or
better
gear.
scarves.
So I'm afraid it will take
I
at
met
least
a guy
few
on the
years
internet
to
2 years
address all
ago.
of the different
I asked,
textures.
please, can you send me your picture? Let me see
で
you.
あと NPC
When I opened the picture, what I
今
saw
回ね
was shocking to
プレイヤー
me.
のキャラクターみんな
Since
クオ
that
リティアップするじゃん
encounter, my life has never known
NPC
peace.
全員も
The
無理だと思っ
following
てて
day,
70までに
snakes started manifesting in my house physically.
The other thing are the NPCs. I know we talked
It's
about
his
updating
fault.
the player
It's John
characters
Video
and
Games'
the
fault.
graphics on those, but
It's his fault.
I'm afraid we're not going to be able to address all of
My
the
life has never known
NPCs by
peace.
7.0.
まあ申し訳ないんだが
They're not going to address
クオ
all
リ
the
ティの
NPCs
高
by
くなった
7.0.
NPC と
Oh, I wish
ま
they
だ
showed us like the
順
preview
番
for
が回ってこない
Aura. I wish they showed us what the
出てしまう
horns
と
would
思うんで
look
すけど
like.
ちょっとそれも許してい
Horns
た
are
だけると助かり
important.
ます。
I just want to see my
So
bum
I'm
boy.
terribly sorry to say this, but you may start seeing NPCs that have gone through the graphical updates and those that have not gone through the updates. But
You may
please,
find
your
yourself behind the
understanding
wheel of
would
a
be,
very large automobile.
appreciated.
これをね全部やれって言うといやもうじゃあグラフィックスアップデートやめましょう無
Please
理です無理ですってなっちゃうんでちょっとちぐはぐっていうのが出ちゃうタイミングがあるとは思うんですけど
Than
それを
before.
やっぱり承認していかないといつまで経ってもできないと思ってるのでちょっと許していただけるとなのでちょっとイルベルドはまだ後でいいかみたいな
And
I hope they
if I
prioritize
were to
like
tell
the
my team that
scions
okay, we need to
then.
do everything then people are just gonna throw in the towel and be like, no, this is impossible. So I'm afraid there will be times at which not all of the NPCs will have gone through their graphical updates, and it might look a little
As long as it's
disoriented
like
or
all of the
disjointed.
scions at the
But
same time.
if I don't
and
allow
not
for
like
that to happen, we won't be
just
able to
leave
get
like
to it.
Tataru
So
out.
again, if you could forgive us for
Like,
going through
I'm
that would
fine.
be appreciated.
Someone
Like,
commented on the
like,
Derplander
not
picture
get his
saying
graphical
new
update as quickly as
NFT
maybe,
just
like, the
dropped.
Sultana, but
テレジアデレジはっていうお声が
Final
結構あるんですよ。
Fantasy 14
ただですね、
NFT.
残念ななんとテレジアデ
You
レジっ
can
て
have it for $10,000.
なんだろう
And
キャラ
two
メルメイク作られちゃうんで
rainforests.
僕らが手を下さずとも勝手にクオリティ上がってしまう可能性が高い。
That's not funny, Lyra.
people are
It's
asking, oh, but what about
hilarious.
Telegy and Adelegy? And I realize his expression is part of the
Telegy,
parts that you can
Adelegy.
select when you're creating your character. So because we're updating the player character facial parts, Telegy Adelegy is going to have his graphical updates already. So
What?
he may
Telegy
be an
Adelegy does
exception to
not
those NPCs.
deserve a graphical update.
まあというわけでプ
Well,
レイヤーベー
because
スで
he
組まれ
has
てる
like
ものは
one
ね
of those
必然的
default
にそうなるん
faces.
ですけど
Telegy
7
Adelegy.
も
When
3
his
とかは
with
ね
the default
やった方がいいかなとは思ってるんですけどちょっとまだ
So
精査ま
will
では
his.
しきれてないのでちょっと
So
そういう
you
状態
know
が
all of
出
those
るとは思うんですけど
red
よろしくお願いします
Mikote you snipe with your like
So yeah, any characters that
mod
are
pack for
built
your
based
eyes?
on
the same
facial
thing's
parts or
gonna
body parts that
happen
are available for players to utilize
to other
will probably be updated
NPCs.
simultaneously with like the player character
They're
graphics.
gonna get sniped
But
by
there
the
are certain
mods.
key NPCs that
gonna
we're also looking at.
Telegy is gonna
Maybe
die
the
in
Sultana,
HD.
but we
Telegy
have yet to sort of
Adelegy.
assess, and we will
That is a
continue to sort of
character I
explore
have
the
not thought
options.
about. It's so fucking
でまあ
long.
ちょっと今日お見せしたのは繰り返しになりますがテストをスタートしてまだ1ヶ月ちょっとのデータなので、
Oh
さらなるですね
man!
クオリティ
Holy
の
shit,
向
someone
上に向け
already
て他
made
の種族も
this.
含めてですねテスト続行していきますいずれ装備とかもねこんな感じになるよというのもお見せできればと思ってます
This is such a bad idea!
No.
But yeah, again, what we showed you was only about a month or so of
Her
testing.
smile
So we're
unfaltering.
hoping to
Nothing
provide you
will
with more
bad will
updates as they
happen to
come in.
her. Nothing
Perhaps the other
bad will happen to
races,
this guy.
Perhaps we can provide you an update with gear, etc.
That is so
in the not so far future.
で
That's really not
そうだな
funny.
It's hilarious.
あとは結構コメントであったんですけど装備の干渉
My
なんとかしてほしいってあれは正直どうにもならないです物理エンジンを入れて計算でかわすしかないんですけどそれをやるとやっぱり動かなくなっちゃうと思うのであとやっぱり
Wait, is that actually the
装備
same
の干
image
渉
just
を
dark?
許
No,
可
it's
してる
not.
僕
No,
が
It's the
it's not.
original
いい
image
ところ
just
は
darker.
切れって言ってるか
Yeah,
ら
yeah, yeah,
今の
okay.
ペースでその
That's amazing.
セットギアが報酬が装備がリリースできてるって
See,
いうところもあるので
this is the reason
努力はします
to
が
watch my
根本
coverage
的に
of
オフライン
the
のゲー
live
ムのようにはな
letters.
らないので
When I run
そこはすいません
out
ご了承
of
ください
commentary, I just start showing memes on
And
my
I'm also seeing
timeline.
comments about can you do something about like gear or equipment or like player characters like body parts interfering with the graphics of gear equipped gear, and I'm afraid that is
Hey, can
something
you
that
deal
we
with hair
cannot
clipping?
address fully.
Asking for a
We
friend.
would have to put in a physics engine in there, and that would cause for some of the characters to kind of not move properly anymore. And plus, I, as the director, have allowed for those imperfections to my team. I'm afraid we're just moving on with it, or else we won't be able to keep the pace in releasing these different gear and the different designs that
So please
is available.
accept clipping.
So I'm
It's
afraid
here to
we
stay.
are unable to address it fully to match
I mean, I
something that
hate it,
of
but
a like
I
a
will
standalone
gladly
game
take
story.
clipping if it
さあで
also
は
means
次は
overall
ですね
other
ちょっと
graphics
BG マ
updates.
ップに関わるところ
Oh,
もテスト
oh,
1
whoa, whoa,
ヶ
whoa.
月ちょっとのサン
Map
プル持ってきま
visuals.
した
Here we go. Oh, this is Charlene. This is in the
Okay,
studio.
we have more samples though. This
Yep.
time it's for
Give me that
various
sample. Show
backgrounds
me.
and like map elements.
This is for the
まずこ
mining
れ
and
は単純に、
fondest,
テクスチャとかに何も手を入れずに配置できるライトの数を増やすっていうテストのサンプルです。
I want to
So this
see.
first image is a test of just simply the number of lights we can place in a certain scene without it touching any of the textures or surfaces.
配置ライト数をですね、複数増やすとこんな感じに
Whoa!
なり
Look
ま
at
す。
the glow!
So we just added a few more lights in a particular scene, and what you see is in the right side of the image.
ライトがですね、遠くに左側ね、一等
That's
しか
really
立てない
good.
ので、
Look,
ちょっと見てほしい
look
の
at the shadow
は、手前
here.
側にあるデ
See, look
ス
at that
ク
shadow.
に影が
Now
ほぼ
look
落
at
ち
the
てな
way
い
the
のが、
light
右
hits
側
the
複数ラ
tree.
イトに
It's
よってち
actually
ゃんと
dynamic
影
across
が
the
出るよ
top.
うにな
There's
って
the
る。
shadows, and then the light hits the front here.
If you look at the one on the left,
Now
we
we've
were
got
only
the
able to
glow of the
place
blue
one light
here, and
source
then
in
the
the
light
scene,
hitting
but in
here.
the
That's
picture on the
really
right, we were able to
nice.
place multiple lights to give it a more realistic look. And as you can see, the desk is now casting a
already just
shadow.
looks so much
まあ
better.
当然
It's
分かりやすく
apparently
上の
just some
方にライト
additional light
に
points.
さらに一等追加されてるの
All they
で
had to
まあ
do.
そこまで作り込んでたのにライト
Yeah,
が
this
当たら
looks
ないことによ
really
って
nice.
全部黒で潰れちゃ
I'm
って
gonna
た
step
の
away
が
a minute.
まあしっかり見えてくるように
So
なるの
this
で
is
こ
kind
れ多
of
分
this is
プ
a
レイ
little bit how
じ
the
っくり
game
見て
already looks with
い
G
な
shade
い
on.
とというか受ける雰囲気が変わるのでこれによって。
So with all their changes
And
they're
of course,
making, I still don't think
I
that they're
think
going to
one of the
end up
key,
making G shade
changes that you can
redundant.
see is because we were able to place a light directly on top. You're able to see some of the details that would have been kind of hidden behind a shadow, and so I think with allowing for more lights to be placed, it will kind of give you a better impression of some of the atmosphere in some of these locations.
でさらにですねこちら今の現在の状態のティターニアですね。
Oh, Titania! Hello.
Next, you see Titania in her current in their current
Titania?
state.
No,
でこれ
Titania.
はシャドウです。シャドウのテストをお見せします。
So this is where we tested out how shadows appear.
まあ影に使ってるテクスチャーの解像度と計算を上げていくので、
Whoa, shit.
これぐらいくっきり見えていくようになると思います。
This is a little much.
So this is where we tested the texture as well as the calculation formula behind how we're
Very colorful.
displaying the shadow underneath Titania, and we believe that
Yeah,
we were
that's
able
definitely
to improve
a
the quality and
more
the resolution
Accurate
up to
shadow.
what
Look
you
at
see
the
on the right
little
image.
strings here.
さらにで
It's
すね、
not
これ
really
複数ラ
there.
イト
Yeah,
も置いて
okay.
みてるので、
You can see the actual
もう今の
gaps
想定だと
in
左
the
の環境し
foliage
か作
from
れ
the
ないんですけ
tree
ど、
on the
複数ラ
bottom
イトを
here.
さらにカラー変えたりしていくことで、右のようにね、
She's
かなり
having
複雑な
a
ライ
rave
テ
on
ィン
the
グの絵
right.
作りっていうのができてい
Yeah,
くようになりま
she's
す。
playing the EDM version of her theme
And
on the
as you
right.
can see, we have multiple lights again in this updated picture, and then plus we put some colored lighting. So the background is exactly the same, and it was actually quite intricately built, but by having these different sort of lighting available to shine on it, you can see the complex details that was part of the structure.
ちなみにこれ左のティタニアのストーリー的には左の雰囲気がいいなって言ってるコメントがあるんですけど、
はい
実はこの状態をさらにグレードアップさせたバージョンを BG チーム作ってきたんです、サンプルとして。ただ開発者目線で見ないと分か
Show
ん
me
ない
Cape
から
West Wind. They can't show
ラ
you
イトの
Cape
色
West
を
Wind.
赤とかにして
Cape West Wind
複
is
数ライ
gone.
トが混ざってるっていう
It's dead.
環境を作ってくれって言って僕がわざわざ
Britain is
デザイナーがセンスよく
pre-killed.
統一してきたものをバラしたんで
なるほど。
デザイナーのセンスじゃないのでこれね
なるほ
僕のプレゼン用だと思ってください。
でも
デザイナーの名誉のために言ってお
デ
きます。
モ用ですね。
はい。
One thing I do want to clarify because somebody pointed out they liked the look of the original Titania, where it has that sort of mood with all the muted colors.
I don't like colors.
I want to point out that this is the developers actually brought to me an example of what improved graphics would look like with that stayed within the color palette of the original picture, but that's very much in the developer's perspective, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference of what has improved. That's why I had requested my designer to intentionally place red lights, something that's more obvious, just to show an example. So don't worry, this is not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to like destroy the atmosphere. The designer was very mindful about keeping the tone of the story, but I wanted a more like overt example. So just wanted to clarify that.
でここでちょっとね特に注目してほしいのが画面右の奥、上の方に見えてるステンドグラスのあたりをちょっと見ていただきたいんですけど。
And one part that I do want to point out, if you look at the upper part of the image, where the stained glass is.
これ左と右マップのポリゴンは何も変わらないんですね。テクスチャー解像度も変わってないです。
So just reiterating that we have not changed any of the polygons that are in the map layout. We did not improve
but the
any
lighting
of the textures
definitely
here.
shows it off a bit better, doesn't it?
ライトを変える複数置けるようになるだけで実は BG アーティストたちがこだわって作っていた箇所っていうのがより明確にちゃんと見えるようになるんですよ。左は全部影で潰れてるんですけど、もともとちゃんと凹凸あるんですね。
And so this is what I'm trying to show with this image is that by being able to place multiple lights in a scene, we are able to showcase the details that our background artists have put into the structure. So above the stained glass, you might see these sort of like tiered sort of molding on top. And
oh, hey, I'm still
the
live.
picture on the left makes it unnoticeable because it's kind of drowned in the shadows.
Hi, how you guys doing?
By being able to place multiple lights, we're able to accentuate those details that our background team has put into the structure.
ちなみにバックグラウンドアーティストたちはライトの追加をやっていこうって言ったらめっちゃ喜んでました。
I'm required for
So when we were talking about adding multiple lights, the background team definitely had a very strong reaction to that.
よかった。
さあで次はですね、こちらは金属表現を、
Oh, this place is gonna look fucking crazy. Get ready for a rave. Get ready for an insane
so
rave.
The next sample we want to show you is how we depict like the texture of the metal.
こちらもですね、デザイナーの趣味というよりはですね、
metal texture.
悪趣味なぐらい変えてくれって言ってるので、それをご承知おきください。
Yes, let's go.
And of course, this again is supposed to be an example. And so I asked my designer to make it very gaudy at this point. So please understand it is not necessarily the designer's choice.
もともとやりたかったけど、仕事ができなかったので、まあこれぐらい
That is extremely shiny.
やっていきますよと。
That's reminding me of the song
so
from
up
Moana.
until now, we didn't have the proper shaders to apply, but we would love to improve the look of metallic surfaces. For example, gold here.
That's fucking crazy. Holy shit.
すごいですよね。本当で吉田の家じゃんって書いてあるんだけど、俺こんなんだったらもう仕事してないわ。
People are saying, "Oh, is this Yoshida's house?"
That's like
no, if I were that rich, I wouldn't be working.
Yeah, this is
こ
where
れ怖いもんで
Yoshipi lives.
今まで我々は左を金だと信じてまいりましたけど、なんかもうブラスにしか見えないですよね。Yeah, actually, we trusted left side screen is gold up until now, but now it only see brass, not gold.
Now make Phoenix brighter too.
まあこういう形で金属
Yeah, it's
の
understandable that
ス
this
カン強
probably
化っていう
won't
のもや
reflect
って
the
い
end
きます。
product.
こ
This
れは
is
とても
more of
わかり
a
やすい
bit
ビ
of
デオ
an
なんじゃないかなと思います
extreme that they're trying to like express.
Thank you for that. But
So
yeah,
it's
again, we're
probably going
trying
to be more
to
of a
make
happy
improvements
medium.
to the material quality, so the look of metallic surfaces as well.
さらにですね、続いては
Because
マ
she
ッ
is stepping on the
プに
keyboard.
使えるメモリっていうのも、上限を上げてあげようと思っているので、それによってですね、より多くのオブジェクトが配置できるようになっていきます。
And next was to look at the memory resources allocated to rendering a particular area on a map. And I'm looking to raise that sort of cap so that we can place more objects in a particular field.
まあこれ左側が現在よくち
Where
ょっ
is
と
this? Oh, Tavener. Right, okay.
マトシャと出会ったりするところですけど、こんな
They've
感じ
been
になってます。
doing all Endwalker locations.
So the left side,
On
you
these
may
previews.
remember your first encounter with Matsuya.
でそれがですね、今
Except for
回このぐらいまではいけるだろうと。
Oh! Look at the
And with
steps!
testing, we are seeing that we could possibly place more objects.
They
like
place more
these.
objects. Yeah, look at that ramp
左と比べてですね、やっぱりまず注目点と
Holy
して
shit,
は
that
その
looks a
一
lot
枚のルー
better.
プで作られた
That looks
階段
really
状になってる
good.
部分っていうのがそれぞれ素
Yeah,
材違いをしかもこう
Look
組み
at
合
the
わせで
material of the steps.
ず
That's
らして
really
した
cool.
りすることによってこう
Look at
使
the
い
little, like,
込まれた
pebbles
感
there
とかより
too.
出せてい
And
け
the
るこのあたり
grass
はね実は
growing.
すごく大きいと思います。
Oh, those little details add so much. Look,
And
there's
so
like
in
the
the
texture of
left,
the ground
you
here
may notice
too.
that it's just a repeat
Yeah,
layered
that's-
on, like a repeat layered on top of each other. But in the updated graphics, you can see that we are able to place objects not exactly like on top of each other, but like you can shift it by a little bit. It'll allow for a more realistic
Not
depiction
uniform.
of the area has been in use. So this is actually quite it helps with like the immersion.
であとはその
My immersion
床ですね実は
4K
床の上に
Final
もう一枚
Fantasy
テクスチャーを重ねてブレンドさせることでですね
maximum
床のこ
VR
う
edition
ひび割れだったり
But do you see
細かい
what else
今だとねメ
changed?
モリがないの
There's
で
a slight
巨大な床を1枚貼ってどうにかってところなんですけどそこをさらにこう
haziness
つかま上げていけるようになる
between the two images.
I think that might
And
just
then
be
the
your monitor.
floor or the ground,
I'm not seeing it.
with the graphical
You
update,
don't
would
see-
be
nah,
able to
nah, I definitely see it.
add another layer on top to give
There's
it
a
more
slightly whiter
texture
light.
and kind of blend it in. So
But it
like
makes it
cracks in the
look
ground. Previously, we wouldn't have enough
more-
memory, so we would
I
just
don't
have
know.
to
Don't know how to
paste one
describe
giant
it.
floor and deal with it.
Subtle
But,
differences like
with the
that are
graphical
definitely probably just a
updates, I
monitor
think we'll
thing.
be able to improve
Well,
on
look at my
the
TV
texture
then.
quality as well.
そしてですね続いてがちょっと BG でお知らせする最後になるんですが
Next is, I believe, the last set of samples that I've seen for
All right,
the
last
background
one.
elements.
こちらです我々開発チーム
Oh, grass!
最大の敵
Grass time!
自動草って呼んでるやつ
これは
Oh,
So
please
this
tell me
is,
there's going to
one
be
of
better
our-
grass and
This
flowers.
is Elpis,
Arch
isn't it?
nemesis, I should say. These are like these automatically generated
this is Elpis.
grass.
これがですねカットシーンのチェックをやってるとですね割り込んでくるんですよ自動で生やされるんで
I
多分
can
カットシーン作ったスタッフの時には生えてなかったんでしょうけど僕がチェックする時は
Even
生
in
え
the
ててです
video
ねこの
games,
ジャギジャギ
I won't
が
touch
すごい入ってくるんですよカメ
It
ラに
will not meet my fingers.
And this is so it takes away
I'm
from
gonna try to be a little bit
cutscenes when
quieter
it
since
when
we
it
are
barges
past 10,
in. I'm sure
actually.
when the cutscene team is creating
All right, show
the
me the grass.
composition, they don't see the grass because this is just automatically generated after the fact. But sometimes it's like so close up and it's so pixelated, and that pixelation it bothered me very much.
今回もね実はちょっと裏話ですけど、
はい
まあエルピスでヘルメスにね、メーティオにせがまれて、エルピスの花をこう見せるシーン、夜空でね、あるじゃない。で、ヘルメスがこう、
The new auto-generated
仮面を
grass.
外す。あそこがですね、何度チェックしてても、自動草が入ってくるんですよ。で、頭にきたんで、もう BG 班で頼んで、この辺もう草生やさない設定にしてくれって。
あ、なるほど。除草剤を撒いてしまったんですね。
Grass NFT.
So one behind the scenes comment I wanted to make when I was looking at the cutscene in Elpis. Sorry, spoilers, but Hermes, when he's talking to Meteon about, oh, I want to show you the flowers in Elpis, and he removes his mask.
No, don't show them to me.
Automatically generates. And it gets in the way. So I got so mad. I told the background team, like, can you make it so that you don't have grass being generated in this part of the ground?
で、それがですね、
Just right there,
今
please.
まだ
Thank
テ
you.
スト中ですが、こんな感じになります。
Wow, I love flower.png.
But that will be
Well, it's flower.png,
updated, hopefully.
but-
Again, we're still testing, but this is a sample image of what it could look like.
で、まあ種類もね、複数
That
持てる
is
ようになるので、
already
これね、草原から上は何も手入れてないんですよ。
Flower.png
向こうに見える木とか、全く今のままなんですけど、まあこんなに変わるっすよね。
Okay.
So, and plus, we are able to generate a variation of different grass,
The grass have more
or
polygon than
plants.
the
And
damn
so,
grapes.
while we haven't added or modified anything in the background, like the trees and the field in the background have not been modified, the look of it is different because of how we can process
Find the G
these
pose in the
automated grass.
grass.
これはですね、自動草そのものを入れ替え
I
る
just saw
の
a
で、申請から
tweet.
行月まで
Final
全ての
Fantasy 14 invents
自
grass
動で生えてる
2.
草が綺麗になります。
And for this
Grass
update, we
2.
will be replacing the system that
Grass
generates
2.0.
these grass or plant life. And so this should be applied throughout all of the areas from A Realm Reborn throughout Endwalker.
さあではバックグラウンド実はねまだあるんですけど、ちょっとどんな表現バックグ
I'm
ラウンドを
sorry, I
上げてい
right
くかというのを
clicked
お知らせ
the
してい
grass
きます。
NFT.
We've done various other testings
I
in
will only
terms of
delete it.
background elements, but allow me to summarize again.
Under
ま
threat
ず
of
先ほ
law.
ど、サンプルでも見ていただきましたライト配置数の追加質感落とす表現ね雰囲気
Additional
強化っていうの
lighting
がこれによっ
points.
て、
Yep, okay, they covered
現
this.
れます。
Yeah, they're just
Under
going back over what they covered, I think.
So again,
Under threat of
we are
expensive
going to
law.
be doing
I hope this won't be
additional
super
lighting
hostile to my
points, so
PC.
improve
Yeah,
visual
I mean,
quality, depth, and
Dahlia, this
immersion.
is still gonna like run on the
そしてですね
PS4, and I'm
影
pretty
を
sure
高解像
that
度
your
化
PC
影の
can,
テクスチャー
run
を高
anything
解
on
像
the
度にするこ
PS4.
とでですねちらつかなくなったりですね影がよりメリハリが効く
So
よう
like
になり
I'm
ます。
pretty sure you'll be fine.
And then higher resolution shadows. And so we'd be improving the texture of the shadow.
Besides,
and
by
how
the
it's
time this
depicted
all
so
comes
that
out,
it will allow
like if it is a
for,
problem, then you know by that time
flickering, decreased
we'll get you
flickering.
some new parts for your PC
ち
anyway.
ょっと嘆きの海のマップ
Dahlia, I
を
will buy
思い
you
出
a
してい
new
ただきたいんですけ
computer.
ど、あそこ実は雰囲気を宇宙空間にするために
We'll do it.
ライト
We'll
の距
do
離を
it.
すごい遠く
I will
にして、
personally
全
finance
体
this.
の暗さをこう締めるようなことをやってるんですけど、結果そうすると影がものすごく長く表示さ
The
れるんだけ
Steam
ど、
Deck is
テク
coming
ス
out
チャー
soon.
解像
That
度
is
が
a
低い
good
がゆえ
point,
に
Dahlia.
すごいじらついたりボケたりする箇所が結構多いんですよ。ただ雰囲気を優先したんで我慢してたんですけど、そういうところもですねより綺麗にちらつかずに影が出てくるようになると思います。
So if you would recall Mare Lamentorium and how we were trying to depict or make it seem like you're in outer space and make sure that the lighting had been placed in a very distant location so that we emphasize that sort of darkness that surrounds you. Because of that, whenever you're on the moon, your shadow gets to be very long, but because the
What am I
shadow
looking at?
textures were not optimal, you would see frequent areas that would cause the shadows to flicker or it could get blurry. So with the
That's
graphical
great.
update, we're hoping to improve
Emotional
so that those shadows
Thank
would
you
come
for
out
being
a lot
mercy.
crisper.
そして質感表現の向上です。これもシェーダーでですね、
My
金属と
fucking
か
tummy
布とか
hurts.、
まあそれ以外のちょっとシェーダーも今検討してます。
Also, guys,
And then, of course,
I
improved
will.
textures,
I
which
want to
includes
play
metals,
Elden Ring,
fabrics, and
but
we're
I need
also
to
trying
wait.
to consider
I need
what
to. I'm not
other
gonna play it day
elements,
one. I need to wait for
can
everyone
be
else to play
improved.
it. Because I need
そ
to
して
know the
最後に
spider
ご覧いただいた
situation.
自動配置植物の強化高解像度にしたりですね、あと植生をね、種類を増やしたりしていきます。
I need to know the spider
Lastly,
situation for Elden
more
Ring.
and better
And if it's
auto-
acceptable, then I
auto-generated
will definitely
greenery,
play it, but it's
which
not gonna
is
be day one. I need
increased
to know it.
resolution, variety, and
I know there
etc.
will be, but like I need to know if like they're acceptable for me to fight,
非常に重要な
or if they're going to just make me fucking freak the fuck out on stream, or if they'll at least just be contained to one area so I can have a friend carrying me through.
テストをしてるんですけど、まだちょっ
So
と
I
サン
need
プ
to
ル
know
を
the
お見せ
spider
できない
situation.
状態です。
And we're also considering other effects or filters that would apply to the overall screen, including ambient occlusion and fog effects. Now, those are still being tested, but we couldn't produce results that we can present at this time.
Oh, we can
め
touch
ちゃくちゃ雰囲
grass.
気出るし、めちゃくちゃクオリティ上がるんですけど、やっぱ画面全体にパフォーマンスの影響を与えるものなので、慎重にテストをして、しっかりこれだったら
Dahlia,
大丈
this
夫だ
one's
ろ
for
う。
you.
その 皆さんが極端に PC を買い替えたりとかしなくてもあとオプションでねちょっと切ることで軽くできるとかっていうのをちゃんと用意した上でここまでやれますよっていうのをちゃんとお見せできる。まだちょっと1ヶ月じゃそこまではいけないのでまあただこれらも強化はしていきますので
Especially because we literally gave her her graphics card.
It's very funny.
And we totally understand that it will give it a different sense of atmosphere, or it
made
would
a
really
meme out of what
improve
I
the
said
mood
earlier.
if we had those kinds of textures applied or those filters applied. But it does
Oh my
affect the
God.
overall performance of the game. So we will need to test it very
gonna be way too
carefully
bright.
for sure. So
People
we
talking
want
about
to
Red Mage
explore our
LB3
options, but
being
we
too
also want to
bright.
make sure that we are at a state
Oh
where
god, imagine
we're
Red Mage
comfortable,
LB3 after these
and
updates.
Yeah,
not
after these
requiring for so
updates,
much
there will be a
resources that
warning
players
when a
would
Red
have
Mage
to,
LB3 is
update
for
their
you to look away from the
PC,
screen.
to
And
an
if you
extreme,
fail this
or
real
be
life
able
QTE,
to
then your
provide an
retinas will
option to shut
immediately
it
be
off if you
seared,
want to,
and you will
optimize
lose
your performance.
the
dying.
encounter
So,
and
I'm
all
afraid we're not
future encounters.
able to show
All
you anything
future
as
You
of
will
like
die
a
in
month
real
or so
life.
of testing, but we're hoping to
Your
bring you
character will be
updates further
deleted.
down the line.
You
So,
will be
yeah,
deleted
if you
from
could please stay tuned for
alive.
that.
さてでは、グラフィックス
So
第
funny
1
as
次
a
グラフィ
Red
ック
Mage
スア
meme.
ップデートの、まあ、今日お伝えできる範囲としては、ここまでとさせていただきます。
Okay, so in terms of the graphical updates and the preparations that we're making for it, I think is
Though I
all
will
that
be
I have
honest,
for today's
After leveling
presentation.
Astrologium,
さあでは
I'm seriously
続い
becoming-
て、
I'm seriously
3
considering
つ目
becoming a healer
なんですが、まあ、引き続き多くのアップデ
Regular
ートはこれまで
updates on an
と変わらずですね、
appropriate
適切な
schedule.
スケジュールでお届けしていきま
What's
す
the
よという
schedule
お
gonna be
話で
now?
す。
So yeah, we will continue to provide regular updates on an appropriate schedule.
oh, look at the
せっか
background.
くの機会
Yeah,
という
that's
こ
all
と
of
で
the
ですね、
that's
ちょっ
all
と
of the
6.1
patches.
から 6.5 まで
Yeah.
現状決まっているものでお知らせできそうなものをお知らせしておこうと思います。
So I would like to share information that we know that we're going to
Patch
have
2.3
from
Defenders of
6.1 through
Eorzea?
6.5.
Okay,
just
here we
looking.
go.
ま
Here's
ず
the
パッチ
timeline.
6.1 なんですけど、
Okay,
こちらね、
yeah,
リリース
obviously.
タイミングが読み切
Somehow
れないと思うんですけ
further
ど、皆さん、
filter
4
brand
月には出
adventures.
しま
Okay,
す。は
cool.
い
Wait, Tataru's Grand Adventure side
So
quest series.
6.1
What? We get a Tataru?
series.
side quest
I
series?
understand that it's
Is this gonna be the
still
trial
kind of hard to
series?
see when it's coming,
Is
but
Tataru
we are
gonna
looking
throw
at
us at some
April at this
primals?
time.
No, there's no
当然です
chance
が
of
メインクエ
that.
ストのアップデートっていうのは 6.1 から 6.5 まで新
We
しい
just-
条件をお
we
届け
just
して
have
い
to
こうと思ってます。
We have to fight her
Of
carbuncle
course,
4
part of those
times.
updates will include the
Wait.
updates to the main
You keep
scenario.
making a
We will
joke
have a new
about
story
my character
with
being
each
Tataru's
patch
like model.
installment.
What if
そしてで
that's
すね、
true?
全世界から帰って
That's
こ
what
い
this
と
is
言われて
about.
いた、
That's what this side quest
保険や
actually is.
紳士ね。
It's
ついに
becoming
帰還でご
canon.
ざいます。ヒルディブランドの行月編が、始まります。
Of course, we've heard many people ask for him to come back. This gentleman extraordinaire, Mr. Hildebrand, will be making his return.
I still have yet
新しい
to
サ
do
ブクエストシリーズと
Hildebrand.
してですね、タタルの大繁盛商店というのが、
I tried
連
really
続
hard to
として
care
始ま
about
ります。
Hildebrand, but
And
I
then,
did not
of
find it
course,
funny at
a new
first.
I
series
did
of
not
side
succeed
quests
either.
named Tataru's Grand Endeavor.
Cat,
ちなみにヒルディブランドが最後に目撃されたのはパッチ 5.3 で実装された漆黒決戦ノルブラントでエリディブスによって召喚された
So is
中
this a
に
trial series or is this just
確
a
率でた
series
ま
of
に出てく
side
るんでね、あいつ
quests?
ID の中にあそこですね、最後に目撃されてるのは。
it literally says it's
I
a side
believe
quest
the last
series.
Hildebrand, last time Hildebrand was seen was in patch 5.3, the Hero's Gauntlet, and this is a random occurrence, so you may or may not have seen him. But when you are doing your Warrior of Light battle, he is one of the people that is summoned.
I remember hearing about that,
さあ
yeah.
どんな冒険とかね、珍道中になるのかぜひ楽しみにお待ちください。
But yeah, we
Kat is
hope
like
you enjoy
literally, she is being
whatever
super aggressive with her cat
odd
hole.
adventures that he
He's
gets
beating the
into.
shit out of that thing.
まあ
Holy fuck.
どんどんいきます。パッチ 6.1 まだまだあってですね、
So they're on one
アライアンス
alliance
レイ
raid,
ド、
yep.
ミソロジーオブエ
New
オルゼア、
PvP
12時にまつわる
crystalline
物語ですね、
conflict.
ス
What
タート
is
しま
this
す。
shit?
Continuing
Crystalline
with patch
conflict.
6.1
We've heard about this
updates,
already.
we
They've
will
talked about
have
it
our
before, I think.
alliance raid
don't remember
Myths
that.
of the Realm part 1 implemented. This is going to delve into or touch upon
Arkasodara, Tribe Quest, Dragon
mythos
Songs
of the 12
Reprise. That's going to be
gods.
the Heavensward Ultimate.
そして
The
新
other Heavensward
PVP
Ultimate.
のクリスタルコンフリクト
Ultima's
という
Bane,
のが、
Unreal.
スター
Okay, yeah,
ト
yeah, yeah,
し
yeah.
て蛮族クエストアルカソーダラ続編があって、絶は本当お待たせしました、レイド大好き勢、本当お待たせしたんですが最新絶リリースします。
And so next is a new PvP, the Crystalline Conflict. We will have a new Beast Tribe quest, or
So
like
it
a
sounds
new
like this
tribal
is
quest.
indeed all things we already know about on this slide.
Tribe quests and their dailies, and then a new ultimate content. Thank you so much for your patience. Our new ultimate duty will be implemented as of 6.1.
ゲームはねアルテマになりますがもうバランスチェックも終わっていて結構むずいですよ。
And of course, we will finally be reopening the Unreal battles. Ultima's Bane will be
I wonder when that
coming for the
Ultimate
next
World
battle.
First is gonna
We
be.
are currently testing this out, but
It
it's
usually
quite
takes a few
challenging.
days.
アルテマウェポンってもともと結構初期に時間のない中で作られていて、IL が結構みんな上がってるんで
Ultima's
いろいろギミック無視できたりと
Bane
か
Unreal
被弾してもそんなになんですけどレベル90でバランス取り直してきっちりアイテムレベル確定させたらねやっぱ面白いしやりごたえあるなこれって感じでした。
Of course, when we first designed the Ultima Weapon fight, it was done in a rush. And then by now, I think people have raised their item level. So even if you take damage, it's not as bad. But with the Unreal battles, we have adjusted the boss fight so that it matches that of a level 90 player. So, and we've kind of finalized the item level. So testing it out, I enjoyed it. It was a very interesting battle, and it's very challenging for
This
sure.
is us before
でも今ちょっ
7.0.
とコメントであったんだけど、蛮族クエストっていう蛮族っていう呼び方やめたいなっていうコメントがあって、
Update,
確かに
cat is
そうだ
now
ね
on the dinner table.
ちょっと考え直そうメモっといてもらっていいかしら。はい表現変えていきましょう。
There was a comment about the Beast Tribe quest, and it seems to not be very favorable to call it that. I know we're trying to shift it to say tribe quests, or like we're just calling it by the tribal name in the English, but we are going to try to figure out a better way to phrase it.
そして絶なんですけど、
はい。
まあめっちゃ調整続いてるんですけど、多分一番難しいと思うんで、やる方は覚悟をしておいてください。
And I want to backtrack a little bit to the ultimate duty, the new ultimate duty, and we're balancing right now and making adjustments, but it's quite difficult. So if you're up for a challenge, that's fantastic. But yeah, it's going to take some. It's going to again be challenging.
絶は 6.11 かな。
Ultimate trial confirmed to be a fucking
sorry,
bitch.
Ultimate would be not 6.1 but 6.11. So it might it's probably not at the same time as the major patch.
まあメインシナリオをやったり、ハウジングの抽選に応募したりとかすると思うので、2週間空けて出す予定かな。はい。
We are hoping that players would enjoy the main scenario first, and then 6.1 is also when we open up the Ishgard housing. So I'm sure people will want to sign up for
yes.
housing plots. So we're going to
You
wait
still have enough
2
money
weeks
for
after the
a
launch of
house,
the major
Beth?
patch, and then release the ultimate duty.
How
ま
much
だ
is the
ま
small
だ
house
ですね
again?
6.1
Like 5
さっ
million.
きお伝えしたメインクエ
I
ス
have
ト
about
ID のフェイ
exactly
スタイル
5 million, so it
2.0
would cost
や
me
って
all
それ
of
以外
my
の
guild.
ID
better
もちょっ
save
と
up
グラフィックスの調整とかいろいろやってます。
Honestly, I think I'm
So
gonna skip
continuing on
it.
with the
Okay.
6.1 series updates.
I want to
so
see
the
what
main quest, the trust system for A Realm Reborn patch 2.0 main
Island
scenario
Sanctuary
dungeons.
is going to
Oh,
offer
good point,
for
good
そして新しいリワードシステムとしてですね、キャラクターカードっていうのの、
Oh,
シ
here
ス
we
テム
go.
実装が
Custom deliveries a million.
And then
Deliveries
a
and PC's
new
gonna be a
calling
million.
card style
Holy shit.
UI. So this is
Milk
sort of a new
deliveries.
type
Deliveries.
system
Milk
that we plan to
deliveries.
start implementing.
custom milk deliveries. Wait,
3月
are we
4
gonna
日
get
から
to
の
Glam
また
Emelians?
パッチ6.1特集パート1パート2の方でお伝えしていきます。
Can we glam
そしてお待たせしたロスガルの
Can
新
we
髪型
give
タイム
her
が
a
スター
new
トとなります。
outfit? That's
So for
not
this
just house mom
calling
dress.
card style UI, this is something that we'll cover in our next two live letters. There's one definitely planned on March the 4th, and we'll do like a 6.1 feature, part 1 and part 2. So we'll delve into details at that time. So next item would be new hairstyles for Hrothgar. Thank you so much for your patience on this.
そしてハウジング石屋ガールドハウジングが開き、お得意様取引はなんとアルフィナ・アリゼのお母様であるアメリアンス編となります。
The next two items is the opening of Imperium or Ishgard housing, and then custom deliveries. You get to meet with Alphino and Alizé's mom, Amelians.
Alphino and Alphazé? Oh no! Oh no! Oh, that slip up is going to cause a lot of memes.
6.15 を予定してます。はい。
We had a question about when is the new PvP going to go live. Again, we'll cover this in the upcoming other PLLs, but we are looking at 6.15 timing for that.
まあそれ以外にもですね、透滅戦など多数のものが、まあ透滅戦名前言えないですけど、ありますんで、ぜひご期待ください。ここまでがまあ 6.1 のざっくり概要です。はい。
And of course, new trials, we can't say what, but other assorted updates are planned for the 6.1 series.
No hints at all about the trial series.
こんな感じになってて、まあ一番の注目はやっぱりお
This
知
is
らせしていた
6.2 here, yep,
無人島開拓が
chest,
6.2 からスタート
weapon
になります。
enhancements. I wonder what that's supposed to
So
mean.
next up is the 6.2 series. This is one of the large, like the anticipated content, I believe, is the Island Sanctuary. That's when we're going to start opening this up.
6.2 is Island
昨
Sanctuary.
日全体を一通
We
り
need
チ
to
ェ
know
ック
the
しましたけど、
details.
めちゃくちゃでかいんで規模。だいぶね組み上がってるんでもう。
I had the opportunity to check the overall sort of content yesterday, and it's quite large scale, but I think it's coming along nicely.
またちょっと今日は時間がないのであれですけど、詳しく説明する機会は取ろうと思いますが、基本的には外の世界と全く異なるそこだけで完結できる遊びになってますし、まあゆっくり本当にゆるくやれるので、
Criterion
楽しみに
dungeon
待
with
っていただける
variable
と嬉しい
difficulty. Wait,
で
what
す。
the fuck is this? Hang on. I
So I'm afraid
kind
we
of.
don't have the time to cover
Oh
it
shit, I
today,
accidentally opened
but
it. Wait,
we
hang on.
will
There you
take
go,
the
okay.
time.
What the fuck is this? Criterion
At
dungeons?
another opportunity so that we can explain the
Variable
details of this.
difficulty.
But it is going to be a different sort of area that you can enjoy, and it's a very self-contained sort of content that you can enjoy.
でまあ2.x 残り新生オルゼアの 2.x シリーズのメインクエスト ID を全部対応し、想定編にも突入します。
I feel
あ
like
と
I'm
は
gonna
武
love
器強化コン
Island
テンツの
Sanctuary
新しいシ
so
リーズをスター
fucking
トしま
much.
す。
Oh yeah, that's just going to be your preferred game mode from
So
now
going
on.
back to the earlier
It
bullet
might
points,
You're gonna
we
play
will be
Stardew
applying the
Valley
trust
in
system
Final
for
Fantasy
the 2.x
14.
means
All of my
scenario
minions are
dungeons,
just
maybe
gonna run
partially
around.
Yes.
into Heavensward.
You're gonna
do
become
this.
a farm bun.
ああそうだ。
I'm
もう
going to
もうね
play the
多すぎて入れてないんですけど、
garden for
ミラ
them.
プリの拡張もね 6.1 から第1弾始まるんで
That's
言っときますそういうの。
I
Oh,
hope
we
I
also
can
want to
like let my
mention
chocobo run around
we will be
too.
expanding on glamours. Glamour ミラプリのごめんなさいミラプリはグラマープリズムの方でしょうか。
ね、
What?
気にない感じですか。
第1弾は
Extending the glamour system?
プレート
Hang on.
増やすをやっていくまず第1弾。
So glamour related updates. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure how to phrase it, so I squeezed it out of Yoshida-san. We will be addressing and expanding upon glamour plates as part of the first glamour related updates in 6.1 series.
Expanding on
まあ
glamour
ちょっと全部
plates.
書
That's
ききれないけど、
necessary.
い
Yes,
つもの
please.
討
Yes,
伐透滅戦
please.
のノーマルと極があるとかいうの
I
は、
wanna have
まあいつも通りやっていく
a
ので
glam per job.
まあその辺は書かれて
I'm
なくても
almost
あ
out
る
of
と思
glamour
ってもらえると助かります。
And of course, we will have whatever content that you can expect in a patch update, so like new trials, etc. It's not written here because we couldn't fit it all in the slides, but yes.
収納数増やすトライもしてるから、ごっそりどっかのタイミングで増やします。
And we're also looking at like how to expand upon like the number of sets stored. So we're hoping to find an opportunity to do that update, like not an overhaul, but like an update on that as well.
そしてですね、さりげなく書かれている新しいこの 6.2 から新しいバトルコンテンツ、タイプが全くこれまでと違うコンテンツを今開発中です。
And then the fourth bullet point, it's just kind of snuck in there as part of like the updates, but it's a new thing that we're trying to do. It's a dungeon with variable difficulty.
これ難易度可変ダンジョンって今開発コードネームなんですけど、1人から4人でチャレンジできて、1人で行く、2人で行く、3人で行く、4人で行くっていうので、自動的にそれに合わせて難易度がコントロールされるっていうチャレンジ型のコンテンツになります。
And so the code name that we're using here is like Criterion Dungeons, but so you can attempt this with 1 to 4 people, and what makes it variable is that if you go in, depending on the number of people you go in with, so 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, the difficulty sort of varies. It will automatically scale, so it's like a content where players can sort of challenge themselves.
That's
こちらも組み上がって
weird.
はきてるんですけど、まだ調整いろいろチェックやってたりするんで、6.2に近づいてき
It's
たら
like a
しっ
solo
かり特
instance
集
that
していきたいと
scales
思
of
い
other
ます。
people. It's like a fucking Monster Hunter hunt.
It is coming along nicely, but and we're still performing checks on the content. So please stay tuned for new information as they become available when we can talk about 6.2.
そして 6.3 になるとですね、メインクエストの ID フェイス対応が争点編をここで完了させる予定です。
And then moving into 6.3, so we continued to add more trust NPCs. We should be able to address the remaining main scenario instanced
Oh, deep
dungeons
dungeon. Yes,
in
please,
Heaven's
deep
Word.
dungeon.
でかいのはですね、世界中からですね、ディープダンジョンシリーズの新しいのがやりたいという、お声をたくさん頂戴していたので、今企画をやっている最中です。6.3 で、ディープダンジョンシリーズの第3弾実装予定です。
And then players from around the world had asked about when do we get a new deep dungeon? And so we are in the planning phases at this time. We're hoping to launch the 3rd in the series of deep dungeons at 6.3 series timing.
そしてですね、すでに、開発スタートして進んでるんですが、Z シリーズの第5弾を、6.3 でリリース予定です。
And then we are already starting to make plans for this, but we do intend on adding one more ultimate duty. So this will be the 5th one in the series.
そしてですね、6.2 でリリースされた、無人島開拓のアップデートももちろん行っていきます。
Then the 5th ultimate duty
And of
will be a
course,
Stormblood
because we
ultimate
will be
duty.
opening up the island sanctuary as
And
of 6.2 at
The
6.3
first
series
ultimate
timing,
is
we will
always
continue
the
to update it.
expansion's raid series, isn't it?
で、4と5はちょっとパッチ 6.4 と
So
5はまとめてのご紹介
that
になっちゃいますが、この4と5で行月
Ultimate
グレー編のメインクエスト ID の
Omega
フェイスタイ
Ultimate,
を
that's
全部合
fucking
わせて、
awesome.
これで、ストーリー上に登場する
Additional
ID は、
area for
全部
Island
対応が
Sanctuary?
終わる予定です。
No shit.
And then next page covers both
They're going to
6.4
add
and
on areas for
6.5
Island
series.
Sanctuary.
But by this time, we aim to complete the trust system implementation into all of the Stormblood main scenario dungeon series, and so that should get through all of Stormblood.
で、難易度可変ダンジョンと呼んでる新しいバトルコンテンツシリーズの第2弾とか第3弾も入れていきますし、無人島開拓の開拓エリアを追加したりっていう予定ももう当然ね、我々長期計画で進んでるので予定されてます。
And then, of course, our Criterion dungeons will see an update. We should have numbers 2 and 3 implemented. And then for Island Sanctuary, at this time, we want to expand upon the area. So we'll have an additional area.
でですね、例えば青魔同
I'm
士のレベ
really
ルキャップ
interested
を
to
どの
get
タイミ
like
ング
more
にする、解
concrete
放どのタイミン
details
グにする
about
のと
Island
か、そうい
Sanctuary.
う
So far, it's all been very,
状
very
況を見ながら
vague.
調整してるものに関してはどうしてもまだ言えないので、それらもちゃんとどっかのタイミングでやっていきますんで、またそれぞれでですね、パッチのこう特集をお待ちいただければありがたいなと。やらないとかいうわけじゃないんで、ここに書かれてないものはね、まだ詰め切れてないものはちょっと言えないので、さすがに。まあ、こ
We're
のあたりはもう
definitely
全部
gonna dip out
確定
once
している
they
ので
go to the
お
Q&A
知らせして
section.
おります。
11 p.m.
I'm sure some of you might be wondering about, okay, when is the next time the Blue Mage is going to have their level cap increased? And
the answer is we'll be deleting Blue
some of these
Mage. It's
items
the
we
worst
need
job.
to monitor the situation. And so I'm afraid we aren't able to determine exactly when this is going to happen, but we do intend on doing it. We will share more information when we are going to do like a patch specific like updates live stream. Please note that even if it's not written in the document, it doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. So yeah, there might be information that we're still in the planning phases and we weren't able to solidify at this time. So we will continue to look at the various existing content and provide updates when we can.
まあなんかパッチ情報を出すとみんな細かいところあれはどうこれはどうってやっぱなっちゃうよね。まあ皆さんが思ってることは基本的にやっていくんで大丈夫ですよ。
I see that people in the comments are talking about various granular areas of patch updates, and I think it's safe to say that things that we know people are expecting in a regular update will more than likely be included. So I want to make sure that yeah, don't be worried.
まあアルカスソーダラの次のはどうなるの、種族ってどうなるのとかもう全部決まってます。ちゃんと毎パッチやっていくので、まああれかなこれかなって思いながら待っていただけると嬉しいです。
And the tribal quest beyond Arkasodara is, I'm sure a mystery, but we have a plan. We do have like which group to focus in on, and we do want to have content available per each of the patch. So it'd be great if you could wait, or not wait, but like speculate, kind of imagine which tribe will we be focusing in on.
Laports, don't they like start up a cafe in the last area of Ultimate Duel? I think it's kind of obvious it's going to be the Laports, and the quests are going to be about them starting that cafe. Literally a cafe at the end of the universe.
6.4 or 6.5, so that's why we're not mentioning it at this time.
It's actually the Omicrons.
さあというわけでまあ
in conjunction
まあ変わらずですね
with one of the
モリモリでやっていきますよという
Loporits. I don't know how, like,
お知らせで
The
した。
Omicrons then.
But yeah,
the
just
Omicrons
wanted
then.
to
Yeah,
go
I'm not
through
sure how
all of these
much the
roadmaps
Loporits are
just
gonna be
so
involved,
that
or
we
even
know
if the
that we
Loporits might be
continue,
their own
or we
separate
plan to
tribe
continue
quests as well.
providing
The
very hefty
Lopicons.
updates.
ただですね一個皆さんにこれを踏まえてですねちょっとお知らせをさせてください。
The major patch cycle.
But with that being said, allow me to make one announcement.
メジャーパッチのサイクルについてです。
And this is regarding the major patch cycle.
これまでですね申請スタートからですね
Previously,
まあずっとできるだけこの
one major patch every
3.5 ヶ
3.5
月に1メジャーパッチ配信っていうのを、
Alright,
ま
is it gonna be
あ、目
faster or
標に掲げてや
slower?
ってきました。
It's going to. I hope it's
So of
going
course,
to be a
since
little bit
the
slower.
relaunch as A Realm Reborn,
Like if they're
we've
gonna up it
tried
to
to
like
keep
4
this
or
pace
4.5,
of one
maybe
major
even 5
patch
if
update
necessary.
per every 3.5 months.
でこれをですね本当申し訳ないんですが2週間プラスしてです
Every
ね
4 months,
4ヶ月
okay.
にさせてください。
And I'm terribly sorry to ask
good,
of this,
honestly.
ask
I'm
you
here
of
for it.
this, but we
So I
need
wonder
to
if
extend
6.1
it by
will be
2
kind of
weeks,
that
and
deal.
so we want
So
to change
if
it so that it's one
Endwalker
major
released
patch every
in
4 months.
で
December,
この2週
so that
間っ
would
て何かっていうとですね
February,
まあ
March,
我々
April.
開発内では
April will be
実
6.1.
装期間っていうのと調整期間っていうので大きく2つあるんですけど、
I
この
think it's
実
likely
装
we're
期
gonna
間
see
に
it in
プラスあ
April,
と1
yeah.
週間
But
それから調整期間にプラスあと1週間の時間をいただいて、まあ、マイメジャーパッチを 3.5 ヶ月でなんとかやってきたのをちょっと4ヶ月、まあ、プラス2週させていただけると助かります。
They have all the goodwill from me.
So of course we have periods of our development cycle where it's development and then implementation, and various adjustments, fine tuning that we do. So those 2 weeks that we ask of you for your patience is 1 week for additional implementation, and then 1 week additional for fine tuning. So that makes it that 3.5 months now turns into 4 months.
でですね、夏季休暇期間とか、まあ我々やっぱりサマーバケーションスタッフに渡したりですね、年末年始やっぱり家族とねゆっくり過ごしてほしいっていうのがあるので、まあ夏季休暇期間とか年末年始の場合にはまあこれにプラス1週間ねさせていただくことがあるかなと思います。
And in addition to that, we do have breaks, like summer vacation or summer holidays, New Year's holidays. I'm sure people have family that they would visit
an
over the
Omega
holidays.
Ultimate,
And so
a Kefka infused
for those,
Omega,
holiday seasons,
something like that.
might see an additional like 1 week's not delay, but like 1 week's time added as well.
まあやっぱりここまでその前半の10年間っていうところでもお伝えしましたけど、相当みんなの開発チーム運営チームのモチベーションっていうところに頼ってやってきたところがあるなと思っていて、まあそれは僕自身のこう稼働の高さも含めてなんですけど、まあ休みたいというよりはやっぱり適切にみんな健康で健やかに開発に取り組むことでよりクオリティも上がっていくだろう。でもまあ事実足りてない無理をしてきたっていうところもあるので、ちょっとそれが理由になってます。
As I explained in the first half, when we were looking back at our first 10 years, we really depended on the motivation of each of the developers that are on the team. And me included, I was moving around and very hands-on with my team, but looking at our schedule and how we work, I do want my team to be healthy and be able to sort of maintain a good level of quality because they are taking the necessary breaks. And to be honest, there were areas where we might not have performed as well as we should have because some of us may have been pushing too hard. So that's the reasoning behind why we want additional time.
でまあ非常にね皆さん優しいコメントいただけてるんでとても嬉しい。特にスタッフの健康とかね気遣っていただけてるんでとても嬉しいんですけど、まあこれまで 2.0 からねなんとか 3.5 ヶ月でこうやってきたこの実装10何週調整何週みたいなのでまあやってきたんですけど、ちょっとね比較を持ってきました。
This is probably going to be the last thing, I think.
And thank you so much for the kind comments regarding our staff and making sure that you're showing your concern to our staff members. It really warms my heart, and I'll make sure to relay that. But considering what we've been doing in terms of providing an update every 3.5 months since 2.0, and we work with a schedule of like such and such weeks for implementation and whatnot. So we put together this comparison chart for you to take a look.
Comparison
まあ
chart.
これまで、企画、開発、調整、デバッグっていうのを、まあ、3.5 ヶ月でやってきてたんですけど。
Whoa, what was that transition? Holy shit. Next gen.
Of course, our development largely is broken down to planning, development, adjustments,
PowerPoint
and
transitions.
And
this is part of the new graphical update. Please look forward to it.
まあ、パッチ 3.3 の時が左の列、5.3 の時が右の列です。
So the column on the left is patch 3.3 series timing, and then the column on the right is patch 5.3 series.
コンテンツ数がねそこまで極端にいったわけじゃないですけど、やっぱジョブ数がまずね11だったら18ボス数が作ってるボス数がもう17から23って増えてるんですね。これ当然調整コストめちゃくちゃ増えてるんで。
Yeah, this is fucking insane.
So I
The
mean,
game
number
has
of,
definitely been snowballing
content, like
in
types
content,
of content may not
and
have
so
varied
more time
over
is
the years.
absolutely
But if you look
necessary.
at, say, like the number of jobs,
Voice to word
from
count is
patch
almost
3.3,
3
11
times the
jobs, we've
quantity.
now jumped up
Yep.
to 18 as of 5.3, which means a lot of
Items
different balance adjustments for those. Number of bosses have gone from 17 to 23.
もちろんね、開発スタッフっていうのも皆さんからいただ
Oh
いた
yes,
月
they
額
have
課
made
金
their point.
で、まあ、ど
I
んどん
do
採用
not
して
need
どん
more
どん増やしてい
convincing that they
て
need the extra
チーム
time.
規模も当然上がってるんですけど、じゃあ人が増えればそんなに簡単に僕ら
And
工
like
場製品作って
literally
るわけじゃない
only
の
an
で
extra 2 weeks.
量産が上がるかっていうとやっぱりそうではない。トレーニングも必要、経験も必要。やっぱりそんなスーパーエースたちが中川とか須藤とかがバンバン育っていくわけじゃないので。
Of course, with our development team, thanks to the support via monthly submissions, our subscriptions from everybody, we are able to strengthen our team. We were able to hire additional staff. And so our team has definitely grown, but I mean, we're not in a factory manufacturing, we're not an assembly line. So we require training. We require for our staff to gain experience.
Absolutely.
Not everybody is a super ace player like Nakagawa or
They don't gotta
Sudo.
explain this to us. Absolutely, they need time to make sure everyone's doing their best, and they need time, even if that everyone's at their best, to do the sheer fuck ton of stuff they have to do all the time.
だけど結局上の方に行くと、どこまで行っても最後は頂点はディレクターとかプロデューサーってなってくると、ここがやっぱそんな簡単には増えないんで、まあ、何でもかんでもたくさん調整もチェックもせずに出すってわけにもいかないから、まあ、吉田を別に分身させろとかその培養して増やせばっていう考えもなきにしもあるんだけど、ちょっとまだテクノロジーがそこまで追いついてないんで。
So if you would imagine our sort of team, I guess, our staff, or how we're organized as like a giant triangle. And of course, we can always scale the triangle to be larger, but I mean, it's still a triangle, so the tip is very small. And when you get to like the director and producer level, I mean, we train fantastic people, but like it doesn't grow in numbers as much as like when you scale the lower part of it. And there still requires a lot of adjustments that need to be applied on the things that we do create. And of course, it would be awesome if we can create like multiples of Yoshida. Maybe if we can clone him or like
multi-Yoshi P.
But still, it is quite a challenge.
吉田にハイデリンキックして分割しようって言われてるけど、それ薄くなってんじゃん、一吉田。
24個に。
Somebody's saying, perform the Heidelin kick on Yoshida and sunder him. Then we'll have 14 of him. But then wait, no, but he's sundered, so he's like thinner. Like you have a diluted version of him.
いやいや、まあでもね、例えばそのカットシーンの数字なんてね、2時間25分トータルだったね、自動送りしていくと、まあパチコーテだと4時間30分になってるんですけど、
I love that Flow is playing while they mention the Heidelin
利益
kick.
で人も増やし、いろんな会社さんにお願いして腕のいい人たちにたくさんカットシーンやっぱ作ってもらってるんですけど、どうしてもねディレクションする側っていうのの人数は限られてくるので、それでももう倍増近い感じですし。
Be what you must,
And if we look
Yoshi
at the
P.
cutscenes,
Become what
we
you
went from
must.
2 hours 25 minutes to 4 hours and 30 minutes. And this is like if you let the dialogue autoplay. But I mean, we have brought on many talented people onto our teams, but we still require somebody to look at the product that they create, and there needs to be a director that makes sure that we're aligned.
もうなんか面白い、もうなんか能力の薄い吉田のただのやからやんけって
Comments still going on about sundered Yoshida, like, well, but what if he's like that's like a low quality Yoshida? it's just a man.
Yoshi P with
まあ、
the
というわけで
echo.
ですね、これからもちょっと今日お伝えした内容 7.0 に向かっていろいろやっていきます。
Give that man the
パッチ
blessing
の
of
物量
light.
というのも頑張ってまた作っていきますし、クオリティとか調整というところも妥協なくね、また進めていきたいとは思うんですが、まあその分ですね、ちょっとこれまでのパッチサイクル3.5 ヶ月にプラス2周させていただいて4ヶ月っていうサイクルでですね、ここから
Oh,
先
it's
ま
gonna
た
be
ま
a
だまだ
long
楽しみお届けしていこうと思ってます。
Yep.
But yeah, we are making various plans leading up to 7.0, and we still want to continue bringing you the different patch updates. And so, with the different elements that we implement, as well as the balancing that we do, the fine tuning, we don't want to compromise any of that. That's why we do want to continue producing the patches to the quality that we hold ourselves up to. So we do want to ask for that initial 2 weeks so that we will have the 4-month patch cycle, but we will continue to bring you regular updates.
まあ本当にあと10年やっていけばとてつもなく長い旅になると思ってます。皆さんとね一緒に今度は20年歩んでいこうってことになるかと思います。
And we strive for another 10 years. This is our goal. And I'm hoping that we will get to a point where we will be celebrating, or like we will be looking back at our journey.
Oh my god,
in
the
our
only
20th,
commentary I
like,
have left to
anniversary.
offer
ま
is
だまだやりたい
yawning
ことね、チャレンジ
sounds.
してみたいことあります。
Yeah.
驚いてもらえること
I'm not-
やっていこうと思いますので
I'm not fully here
ぜひ
anymore.
この先もですね一緒にまたボッテン作っていただけると
Pain
嬉
I
しいで
just
す。
have so
はい
much respect for these people that I'm willing to
We
keep sitting
do
here
want
trying.
to do more, take on more and more challenges, bring you more surprises. So
Oh god,
I want to continue
I
building
need
this
to get
together
some water. I
with
need
you
to take my
also.
hormones
Yeah,
before we
it
go
would be
to
great
bed.
if you could continue to keep with
I
us.
filled the water pitcher.
はい、では前半
はい、ありがとうございました。Thank you very much. So this is all about the first half of today's letter live. 今日の前半、プロデューサーレターライブの前半戦はここまでと。
1個
2 hours and 20 minutes.
DC トラベルはいつが結構多くて今のところ予定 6.18 かなで予定してますんで
Sorry, one more thing. We did see a lot of comments about, so when is data center travel going to be implemented?
Oh.
We are currently looking at 6.18 timing for that.
6.18.
はい、
Okay.
ありがとうございます。Thank you very much. ではこの後休憩に入るんです
So
が、
look
今
forward
日
to
は
it
後半戦は、
in
通
May
訳は
or
別の方
June.
にお願いすることになっておりますので、あゆみさんがここまでとなります。So before going to break, because we have another person for
Oh, me too.
translation
Oh,
for the
obviously,
Q&A
yeah.
part. So that's it for
And
あゆみさん today. So あゆみさん皆さんに一言ご挨拶お願いし
I
ます
can take my
はい、
character
長い間
over
お付き合いいただきあ
to
りがとうございました。Thank you guys so much for your patience as we navigate through all of this.
with my
But yeah,
level
I will
90
see you guys some
character.
at
That is
another
crime
opportunity.
harassment.
Bring
あ
his
りがとうございます
level
。Thank you very
like
much あゆみさん。
20
では僕がね
character
安心して
for
こうゲームシステムの話っていうのを全世界の皆さんにこういつもの調子でお届けできるのは本当にあゆみさんの高い
I am
スキル
calling
特に
you
ね
from
僕の性格
Yeah,
を
I'm
把握
pretty
した
sure
の
we're
がやっ
done
ぱり
here. Wait, hang
トラン
on.
スレーションがねもう
Gonna give it
長
like
くなりますので
another
ね
minute.
僕らもコンビを組ませてもらっ
そうです
てなんで本当に助かってますいつもありがとうございます
ありがとうございます。ここどうやって訳しましょう。
もうぶっこが言えばいい
吉田さんは
Alright.
Thank you.
あゆみさん really knows Yoshida san's characteristics very well, so it's we are very relying on あゆみsan's translation for when he explains the game systems or mechanics. So thank you very much あゆみさん again.
Thank you.
はい。では今から休憩に入るんですが、
They looked at their watches at the same time. That was
So
cute.
we want to restart the latter part of the
Okay.
letter live at 1:40
YouTube,
p.m. Japan
if
time,
there
which
was
is in
something
20 minutes.
super special, awesome, cool
で
in
ですね
part
今日
2
の
of this
休憩の
live
音もご
letter,
紹介したいと思
I
い
don't
ます。
fucking
So,
care, sue me.
during
I'm a
the,
sleepy
break, we
fucking
have two
girl.
videos today for you to enjoy.
20分あるから1本がいいやと思ったら2
Thank you
本
for
あるから
watching.
Yeah, we have a 3-second
night.
digest preview
Bye-bye.
of all the songs from the upcoming
Bye-bye.
Endwalker